Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport for the final time this season in the Le Mans Ultimate Championship. Yeah, sad things must come to an end, but we have got what looks to be a fantastic season finale. We've got two championships on the line. Kieran O'Reilly trying to win a third or maybe even fourth title here at SimPlay Motorsport. He's got a lot of work to do to beat Andrew Phipps. And Matt Townsend, can he win his first championship over as well? Debutant this season, Bradley Duncan. It's going to be a crucial championship deciding night here on the coast of Portugal in Algarve at the Autodromo. Portimao, should I say? I can't remember the actual full name of the circuit. I'm not going to try.
Portimao.
Not Portimao neither. As you can hear, Tanner Nebo joins me once again. And we're joined tonight as well by a special guest in the commentary box. It is Momentum Motorsport's very own Craig Stothard. And Tanner, good evening to yourself. But quick question to Craig is, he's been held against his will to get in the commentary box, is what I believe.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing thing that I should join you guys in here because I provide all the entertainment for MMS, and unfortunately, I've landed myself in this seat to try and bring some entertainment. Well, it's great. Let's hope it goes well.
It's great to have you in the box, buddy. Tanner, all season long it's been fantastic. We obviously saw the rain at Fuji last week that was made it even spicier and more entertaining as well. Tonight, no rain sadly around, but this Portimao circuit is a real technical, tricky track to get right. You race here, obviously, on iRacing platform that I was lucky to commentate on a few weeks ago. Just tell us what the drivers are in store for tonight.
Well, it's a very flowy track, so you have to be in the rhythm. You have to stay in your pretty much your flow state the entire race. This track really opens up to big dive bombs in all the medium slope corners because you have to use the entire track. You have to sweep out really wide and cut back into a late apex around most of these corners. And I'm expecting a lot of racing incidents, especially around the hairpin about turn 5 and then maybe turn 3, but I think drivers will be a bit smart around turn 3, but turn 5 is definitely going to be a big overtaking and incident point on this track.
It's like Tanner said, it's a real tricky circuit, but not only that one, Craig, it's quite up and down, isn't it? But almost like a roller coaster at times. You climb uphill, you immediately drop straight back downhill, and that's another factor that the drivers have got to take into account tonight.
Yeah, the elevation on this track is fantastic, but at the same time, one misstep and you could find yourself in the gravel or worse, in the wall. I think there'll be a lot of fuel saving, a bit of coasting on this track, considering it is quite hard to overtake. So tactics should play a big part.
Indeed they should. The championship standings, though, going into this final round of the season. Bradley Duncan leads... we'll start with LMP2 ELMS. Andrew Phipps leads the way on 208 points. 40 points behind him is Kieran O'Reilly. Needs an almighty effort. There's only 8 drivers, so I don't know if it's possible for O'Reilly to do so, unless Phipps has a retirement from this race. Joseph Bates is P3. He's trying to keep hold of that over Joachim Cambrai, with James Wright in fifth place. Dan Davis is down in 6th, and this man Callum Clark took his first win in them tricky conditions at Fuji a week ago. He'll be looking to move up the standings. Rosowski is then behind him with Sylph, Lal, Beard and Ben Parkey. And in the LMGT3, Bradley Duncan versus that of Matt Townsend, separated by only, 90, 270, so separated by 24 points between Duncan and Townsend. So not a huge gap with 22 cars and only the top 18 scoring points, which is something we may have to look at for next season. With Wainwright, Langley, then Schaefer's is 5th, Jimenez 6th. There's still place to play for as well. Langley could try and get 3rd from Wainwright, Schaefer's and Jimenez, who's not here tonight, and Vorher in 7th. They're all fighting for that P5 spot. You've then got Vieira, Ford, Ruck, Daniel, Ryan Fox. They're all fighting for the top 8 in this one. Ossian and Anderson could try and sneak into that top 15, if not into that top 10. So a lot up for grabs in this race for sure. But one thing we know, drop scores will not be counted for this week, which means the drop scores are done, and it's just about now seeing who can do what in this championship. Qualifying will get underway in 4 minutes time. And Tanny, you've been with us all season. We saw a great race from Callum Clark last week. Currently looking like he's the fastest man out there on the circuit at the moment as well. 4 tenths quicker than that of Dan Davis, and he's half a second, almost 6 tenths quicker than the championship leader in Phipps. Do we think this could be Callum Clark on for potentially a pole position, if not another race win?
Well, pole position, maybe. He only did 13 laps. So I'm guessing that was some sort of like half a race run, or type of race run, or maybe some quali. But it's definitely interesting to see that Phipps and Kieran O'Reilly being probably the fastest driver, but maybe not the most consistent. Both in P4 and P5. So that it's interesting to see, especially James Wright's up there in 3rd place. He's ahead of both of them, not by much, but he's up there. But Callum Clark 4/10 faster than Dan Davis, and almost 6/10 faster, as you said, in front of Phipps.
And we have got a new driver on the grid as well, that of in the LMP2, Klumpstra. In the LMP2s joins us for this afternoon's race, for the final race of the season. We also have a new driver in LMGT3, which we'll get to in just a moment. But Craig, I don't know what you've seen of this season. There's a lot of guys that you've raced with over the course of the ACC days back on the console platform, the likes of Dan Davis, Kieran O'Reilly. Apart from that, Phipps looks to have this championship won, but the pace tonight wouldn't necessarily suggest he's the outright quickest.
No, well, you know, in racing, anything can happen. All it takes is one little instant, and someone else can get a nice wee spot. But I do think Phipps maybe has it in the bag, but we'll wait and see.
So as
for the MMS boys, they've all been practicing hard, not liking the track so much. I know from behind the scenes. And I think there's been some great racing in the GT3s as well.
There really has. It's been fantastic driving throughout the entirety of this championship. Moving forward into the LMGT3s now, Tanner. Oh, I pressed the wrong button there. We know what Bradley Duncan has been capable of all season. Whenever Bradley seems to win, Phipps seems to win. Bar last week. It really has been an interesting stage of the season where we've seen almost anything happen in GT3s, bar the front two. The front two have kind of been the two that's, you know, led the way, been pretty dominant. Everything else for podiums, 4th, 5th, 6th places up and down the grid, it's been all up for grabs. But again tonight, Ben Rook looks to have a bit of pace. Erkin Coglu looks to have a bit of pace. Langley looks like he's got a bit of pace over Duncan as well. Townsend behind Schaefer's, who we know has had pace all season, Tanner. That grid looks a little different tonight. Bradley will know what he's got to do. Townsend will know what he's got to do to beat Brad and where Brad's got to finish. Tonight could be up in the air for Brad and Townsend in this race.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned it before we got in here, but for Townsend to even think about winning this championship this season for the GT3s, he needs to win the race and have Bradley Duncan finish 6th or below. Bradley Duncan, who's been pretty much winning every race he's competed in, needs to finish in a top 5. So that means he has to, for the first time this season, barring the race he missed, he has to finish outside the podium, which for him probably might seem completely, for his race pace and what we've seen from him, it's probably completely out of the question of him finishing the race off the podium. So I know Townsend probably doesn't win like this, but I think the only way Townsend can win the championship tonight is if Duncan has a DNF.
Well, DNF, there is 22 drivers. If all 22 turn up, even if 19 turn up, if Brad finishes down the bottom end of that pack, you know, he's going to be in for no points in that one. So really could be up for grabs in this race. In terms of the GT3s, obviously, Craig, Momentum, your team have got 3 drivers in it. We've got that of Hornsby, Wainwright, and I believe it's Daniel. He's told me to call him Daniel because he said his surname will be too difficult to pronounce. Them 3 themselves have had a pretty good season. And for the fact of John... Is it John? It's not even John, is it? Wainwright.
Yeah,
no,
Wainwright, Nick Millen.
It is John, right.
Yeah,
it is John.
John.
For Wainwright, he's got, you know, that chance of finishing 3rd place in this first season. When you look at some of his races, he may not have been there all the time.
No, I think he has his specialist tracks, the tracks that he really thrives on, and then he has his other tracks where it's a bit of a struggle. I do know he does put in the time and the practice, so I think he is aiming for that top 3 spot, but whether he can pull it off tonight, that's another question.
Well, we'll see what he can pull off in this race this afternoon. Should be a good one to see what's going to happen here at Portimao for sure, as Dan Davis gets us underway with qualifying. And well, we're on board with Dan Davis. It's put us on board with him, so we'll stick with him for the final time this season in qualifying before filtering through the field as much as we can. So as you can see, coming up through turn 4. In fact, let's get you on a bit of a different camera angle where we can see the track a little bit better. On board in the cockpit view, right by where Dan's view might be, if he's running that cockpit camera, down in towards the hairpin. Very easy corner to lock up, run deep, especially in these LMP2s. Going forward, up towards turn 6 you go. You've then got this double right-hander, first of all, through turn 7. A little bit quicker than what is turn 8, because you then have to brake. It cambers down to that inside. You also climb up hills, so it's kind of blind on the exit of the corner as to where you're next going as you drop back down the hill towards turn number 9. Fast left-hander, full throttle, before braking uphill, blind into this double apex at turns 10 and 11 of corner called Portimao. And you drop back downhill into number 12 as Dan gets a little greedy on the throttle there, manages to keep it out the wall in towards turn 12, but almost had a bit of a spin there. Into 12 he comes, now into 13. Again, long right-hander, not as long as long left-hander, not as long as this right-hander coming up now, which is what I like to call a bit of a hurry up and wait corner. You're just waiting to get that power down. As you can see down there, just a little too eager, and the car just wanting to slide and dance around on them cold tyres. Now through the final corner, keeping it pinned on the exit as you go up over the hill towards the line. That was the outlap done. Dan Davis still getting them tyres prepared at the moment, Tanner, in this qualifying session as he heads down onto his first flying lap.
Yeah, I'm expecting the LMP2 cars just to take their outlap and their first lap on the set of tires to be pretty much just 2 prep laps. Especially with this track being such a elevated, heavy track, at your tire temperatures being at the perfect time, or at least up to temperature enough to where you have the most grip possible, is going to be key. So don't expect any of these LMP2 car drivers to be near their fastest time this first lap. It's probably going to be their 3rd to 5th lap in that weird range where they're going to be getting these pole times or challenging for their fastest lap.
As we say good evening in the chat as well to Caitlin. Styles is in there, Alpin, Phil Hornsby, Rob Smith, Ryan Fox, Tony, Fury's Granddads is in there, as well as It's DDD, Jamal Clouden as well, all in the chat. Going to be an interesting race tonight as Dan Davis comes through the 10 and 11, dropping back downhill towards turn 12. Just looking at the sector times that I've got to the left-hand side of me. Dan, a little bit quicker through Sector 1, a lot quicker through Sector 2 than Klompstra, but it's Phipps who's at the moment setting them timing screens. Not a light, apart from in Sector 1. It's Sector 2 where he's matching Dan Davis and matching the likes of Jochen Cambrai, but Sector 1 he was almost 4/10 quicker than Dan Davis. Goes to the top of the timing screen now with that 1:35.5, as we'll get to wait and see what Dan Davis can do as he comes to the line now, and he goes up to second. Callum Clark immediately, Craig there, 4.5 tenths faster than Andrew Phipps. So Callum straight away up towards the top of the timing tower. Craig.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to see that time coming out so early on. Is it a sign of what's to come? Has he got the pace here? I think Dan Davis is struggling on the tyres, so I'm locking up just a wee bit as I'm still on board with him. But the time so far, there's a big gap, and it looks like we might have just 2 cars competing at the front.
It does indeed at the moment, as Erkin Koglu in the LMGT3 category, Tanner, has found himself 1 second quicker than that of Schaefer's. Matt Townsend's yet to set a lap time. So is Phil Hornsby, Gareth Anderson, John Ford, Stapley, Ryan Fox in there. No Gary Newman, Ossian or Phil Andrews out on circuit at the moment. So hopefully they are in ready to go. We've also got that of James Wright, who's still not yet set a lap time. But Erkin Koglu, Tanner, straight out the block, 1 second quicker than that of... we've been saying his name wrong as well. He's actually told me how to pronounce his name.
You completely forgot how to pronounce it too.
Oh no, it's not Schaefer's. Sorry, it's Forhair. Who's been saying we've been said his name wrong. So it's as far as I'm. So I've been told to say it's Forhauer. So Forhauer.
Hauer? Oh,
yeah.
So instead of a U, it's a W.
Yeah. So Forhauer is how we've been told to say it. So that's how we're going to say it throughout the rest of tonight, or hopefully going to say it we probably won't. We'll see it and revert back to normal.
We apologize in advance.
Massively so in advance. Callum Clark improved as Dan Davis within 0.3 of a second. O'Reilly moves himself up into P4. Joachim Cambrai coming round the final corner now. Klomstra and Fury, aka Joseph Bates, further down the order. Here comes Cambrai towards the line, crosses that line and stays in P number 5. Erkin Koglu coming towards the end of his lap. Bradley Duncan has just finished the lap as Matt Townsend moves up the order. Bradley Duncan, though, up into second place. Gray Langley running third. Ben Rook is P4. McMillan down the order as well. Here is Schaefer's coming towards the line now. Crosses that line. He moves now up into provisional pole by 0.7 of a second with 4 minutes remaining on the clock. That is an outstanding lap from Schaefer's there, who has absolutely just nailed that lap time, Tanner. He's put it on provisional pole.
Yeah, and this is where we're going to see the GT3s and LMP2 cars start to set their representative lap times, because the tires, at least at this point, will be at their optimum temperature with optimum grip. So these guys are going to start pushing the limits around the track. I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 people tonight to have some type of track limit warning as well, and maybe a drive-through. Just because how much you have to push the limits of this track. Schaefer's is going even faster right now. He did a 22.0 in the first sector. But another development in GT3 is Langley has wet front tire, a wet set of front tires on his car, which
he did that last week at Fuji. In the qualifying session. On the rears. Yeah. Oh, well, he's, I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Here comes Phil Hornsby towards the line. One of the Momentum Motorsport cars coming down towards the timing line. He goes now. Currently down in 18th place. Moves up to P15 in class now. Just goes behind that of Nauris Plovins by a couple of tenths of a second. Almost forgot as well, Craig, that Gary Anderson and Gareth Anderson out there running the Lightning McQueen livery. Obviously, Momentum Motorsport as well. Forgetting that because he's not running the livery, he's in the Lightning McQueen 95. He's had a pretty good season, hasn't he? He can be pleased with his efforts.
Oh, Mr. Kachow himself, absolutely fantastic driving from him this season. Getting to grips with the game still, but his pace is improved week on week. And although he's not in our livery, we love him to bits.
Indeed you do. Well, Andrew Phipps has gone within 0.02 of a second. It's saying 3 on the game. It's saying 2 on my timing screen for the cameras next to me. So we'll go with 0.03 of a second. Dan Davis is within 0.17 of a second. Kevin O'Reilly within 0.56 of a second. The top 4 in LMP2 separated by 0.5 of a second. Tanner, that is incredibly tight at the front of LMP2 right now.
Yeah, and it's surprising, especially since how kind of spread out we had it in practice. So the top 3 all within a tenth, as Clark having issues with the rear of the car. So this lap probably won't be any type of an improvement. But I'm guessing we're going to be on the final laps here for some of these guys. Phipps, I think, can get 1 more lap if he gets around fast enough. But for everybody else, I'm pretty sure as Dan Davis goes even faster. So we have 4 cars now, all within half a second of one another in challenging for pole.
Yeah, because Kieran O'Reilly also took pole position away from Callum Clark, because here comes Langley round the final corner and down towards the start-finish line. Fastest in practice, currently 0.3 off the back of Schaefer's, who is done for qualifying, as is McMillan. Langley then towards the line. Does he have 0.3 in the locker, or is he going for one final push lap? Must be going for one final push lap. Where is Bradley Duncan? He crossed the line. Did not improve. Erkin Koglu is already through the first couple of corners. Daniel here is now coming around the final corner in the number 99 Porsche at the moment. The Momentum Motorsport Porsche liveried car. He's going to enter the pit lane, so he is done in qualifying. So drivers out there just finishing their laps. Callum Clark is about to come around to possibly get 1 more lap time on the board, as Andrew Phipps now goes pole position by 0.3 of a second. What can Callum Clark do? Doesn't look like a great lap this time around for him. He'll get 1 more run in, though, in this qualifying session. Where's Dan Davis? Does he get 1 more run in? Yes, he does. Kieran O'Reilly who moves within a 1/10.5 of his championship rival. He also gets an extra lap on the board. Joachim Cambrai coming round towards the line. 6th place at the moment, 1.5 seconds off the back of Andrew Phipps, down towards the timing line. He's up on his delta as well. Could this put him ahead of Wright, who's in the pit lane? Callum Clark has returned to the pit, so he's done. Cambrai does not find the improvement he needed there. What about Joseph Bates, aka Fury? Has he got any time left in this car to maybe find his way up the grid a little bit more in this qualifying session? Joseph Bates exits the final corner over the brow of the hill, down towards the timing line he goes. He's up. It's not going to be enough. It will only be P7 for Joseph Bates, but it's Schaefer's who's in the pits. Langley's in the pits. Ford still going out there. Erkin Koglu is coming towards the line now. He goes P5. Matt Townsend is in the pit, so Erkin Koglu will not improve. Where's Vorher? He's gone P9. Wainwright in this qualifying session. Low down in this standings at the moment for Wainwright. Fighting Langley for 3rd place, down in 13th overall. Who did make me chuckle in the comments the other day. The poll for the Patreons in the Discord has gone up to see what tracks they want to see on the calendar for next season. Wainwright wasn't happy that 9 of us have selected Qatar as a potential option for next season. Wainwright, though, crosses that line and stays in P14. Ossian hasn't got a lap time on the board as Erkin Koglu actually moved up to 2nd place at the very end. So knocks Langley down to P3. Schaefer's, though, is looking like he's going to be your provisional pole man in this one. Just Ossian left to set a lap time in this session. Comes to the line. What is it going to be? Not a great one. Oh, it is. It delayed, updated for us. It's up to 19th place. Only 9/10 off the back of Ryan Fox, but I only think he got 1 lap time in that session. Right, breathe everybody. Craig, Tanner, have a moment. Qualifying is done. We're about to get that an interesting race start, because turn 1 here can be very spicy at times.
Well, yeah, especially with it being a downhill braking zone. But in the GT3s, we have our strategy master mastered in the GT3 class, P5, and he's not that far off of the top group. Definitely half a second off pole, but only about 2/10 away from everybody else in front of him. So the guy that's been making a bunch of great strategy calls recently is in a very dangerous spot for everybody else in front of him.
Indeed they are. Good evening to Mathew Wright, who says, who's the new professional commentator I'm hearing? How's James Wainwright getting on? Phil Atherton says, Dan for the win. Jamal Clouden says, LMP2 man fire. Styles, tough track this one seems to be. Gareth Anderson, good luck tonight there, boys. Chris Rook, good evening to you, sir. Looks like the race will be chaos, says Styles. And good evening to Gary Clarbel. Craig, we could just breathe a minute, could just settle down for a little bit as we get ready to start this race.
You know what? It's looking like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic race. We were saying before about Bradley Duncan, potentially if he was outside the top 5, not getting the spot that he wants, and he's down in P4 with the masterclass strategist right behind him. You know, this is shaking up to be something else. So has he got it in the bag so much now that qualifying's done? Who knows?
Who knows? As the drivers line up on the grid, we'll be getting ready to get underway in a few moments' time. And Tanner, who are you going for? LMP2, LMGT3. Who are you going for the race win?
I feel like I have to give it to Clark, just because. Yeah. Just in the race, Clark made the least amount of mistakes, and then for the GT3s, I honestly don't want to say it because I'm a good friend of his, but I feel like Langley. I know if he somehow wrecks out this race and he watches the stream back, I'm gonna have a very harshly written text message coming at me. But I'm gonna give it to Gray Langley.
Craig, very quickly before the race gets underway, who do you think will win this one in both classes? I don't believe Stothard is there at the moment, so we'll get back to it. Stothard. I'm calling him Craig.
Sorry, I was on mute.
No, you're all right, buddy. Who's winning this race very quickly?
Very quickly, I think if Dan Davis has left his book at home, he could have the pace tonight.
GT3?
Just to stir things up. GT3, Erkin Koglu, or what is known as Dank, I think he's got it. in the bag.
Well, let's see what happens as Klopstra in the LMP2 class gets that drive-through penalties. Kieran O'Reilly down towards turn 1, looking to the outside line of Phipps. Can't get the move done there. That could allow Dan Davis to look a little bit interested, who's already got ahead of Callum Clark. In towards turn 3, there you go. What is going to happen through that third part of this circuit? Now up into turn 4, the uphill left-hander Callum Clark looks like he's got a run on Dan Davis. Klopstra's got ahead of that of Cambrai, so has moved up a place, but has that drive through for being out of position at the start. Dan Davis looking to attack the back of Kieran O'Reilly, with Callum Clark looking round the outside, and James Wright gets the up and under, doesn't get the momentum out of the corner though. Nice clean start at the front of LMP2. What has happened in LMGT3? I am seeing a yellow flag out there at the moment, but was it a good start though, Tan and Ebo?
Yeah, Matt Townsend had a great start, jumped from P6 all the way up to P4. John Ford had a shocking start all the way down to P7. Schaefer's lead with I'm not gonna butcher your name, but in the 35 Lexus in P2. Bradley Duncan defended the position but nearly lost him in turn 3, and right now Gray Langley trying to get past Townsend.
He is indeed, is up towards Portimao. There you go. Gray Langley looking to the outside of Townsend as Bradley Duncan is ahead of his championship rival in this race at the moment. He knows he needs to finish 5th or higher, and it doesn't matter where Townsend finishes. As Townsend goes a little wide, that opens the door for Gray Langley to just have a sniff of an opportunity up the inside, but he can't get that move done in there. Back towards the front though of this LMP2 fight. Joseph Bates trying to get around that outside of James Wright, and looks like he may have done, coming down towards the first corner. Dan Davis still aggressively warming the tyres up. Wright and Fury going side by side, as there is Klopstra as well, also aggressively warming the tyres up through turn 1. Joseph Bates hangs on to that place, so he's gained yet another and backed that battle in LMGT3. Gray Langley in the slipstream now of Matt Townsend. Will he think of pulling out? No, he won't. But John Ford might have a look on that of McMillan. Gets a better run through the first corner. In towards turn number 2 they go now. And that is John Ford through. Might even be for her to come through as well. And yes, it is. So McMillan there losing 2 places at one corner, and Ford and Vorher have both gone through. So a good move from the pair of them two. Further down the field in LMGT3, Benjamin Rook, who has not had a great start to this race, didn't qualify too well at the end neither compared to what he did in the free practice. He's got work to do to come through the field, as we can see as well. That of Nauris Plavins on the back of Royden Stapley, who is on the back of Ossian Horn Edwards, who's had a good start to this race, made up a few places already in this one. But the opening start of the race here, Craig, has been an absolute nice, calm start at the moment, but you feel like there's something's going to be brewing later as the race goes on.
100%. I mean, there was a little bit of door banging, but you expect that. All these boys seem to be getting into a nice flow here, going around the track. A couple moves made. Unfortunately, Matt lost a couple of spots, but I mean, as the race goes on, opportunities will come up, and it'll be nice to see what tactics come into play.
It will be in this one.
Spun.
Has he saved it? We're going to try to drop back.
Yeah, he saved it. He saved it. John Ford.
Yeah.
John Ford gets the position, but he's that half spun. It pretty much the same half spin that Bradley Duncan had a few times last week through turn 1 at Fuji. So a sketchy moment there. He saved it, but he lost a spot in some time. But that just opens up Matt Townsend to start trying to hawk down Bradley Duncan.
It does indeed, as here goes Dan Davis to try now and defend from Callum Clark, who's looking all over him, down in towards the hairpin. Callum looks for the up and under on Dan Davis. Joseph Bates and that of James Wright are all waiting in the wings to get this one done as well. Klopstra has done his drive-through penalty. He's come out right in the thick of that LMGT3 traffic. He's just behind that of Paulo Vieira, who is going side by side with Ben Rook. Ben Rook, though, to that outside line, allows the LMP2 to come through and get that move back done for position overall in this race. Rook, though, couldn't get the move done on that of Vieira in that BMW. Great to see him back this week out there on the circuit. Paulo, great to have him back on the SimPlay channel. He's not been with us since the PS4 days of Assetto Corsa Competizione before it became the crossplay platform. So great to see Vieira back out there. Schaefer's, though, out front. Could this be the day that Schaefer's gets this one right? Because, Tanner, we've said all season, he's had pace. He's just not had the rub of the green. And tonight, he's already put 1.2 seconds over that of Erkin Koglu, and he's doing what he needs to do in this race. Yeah,
you can kind of put down his inconsistency in his, I wouldn't say, his inconsistency to the car he's driving. The car he's driving is known to be really good in qualifying and really good on short bursts. But anytime But anytime you have to do a long race, then it's on a disadvantage just because it burns through so much fuel, and you have to, and it's a bit twitchy when it's on heavy fuel, and I don't want to put it all on the car just because his pace when it matters has been excellent. He just hasn't been able to put a full stint together yet this season.
He hasn't indeed, as this is Callum Clark still looking for a move on the back of Dan Davis. Fastest man in Sector 1 in this train now of 4 cars. Joachim Cambrai can't stick with them at the moment. Further down the field, we've got Ryan Fox, the fans' favourite in the chat, has got Ossie and Horn Edwards chasing him down before the battle of Momentum Motorsport. Gareth Anderson and Phil Hornsby, Lightning McQueen himself, chasing down the Aston Martin for that of 13th and 14th place. Further forward, though, in LMGT3, we've got that battle between Ford and Langley and Vorher, but Langley's the one who's losing out to Ford, and he's coming under a little bit more pressure now from the Porsche of Vorher behind him.
Yeah, no, Langley just in braking and power just seems like in race trim the car cannot stay stable. Like he's gone deep in both hairpins so far, and he's been losing positions. He just got past for her, and it seems like the issues that have been struggling or ailing him in second stints are affecting him in the first stint tonight.
Well, let's see how this race goes on. In LMP2, though, you've got Andrew Phipps just over a second now clear of Kieran O'Reilly. Kieran knows how to win a championship. Not saying Phipps doesn't. We know very little of Phipps at the moment. This is his first season with us here at SimPlay Motorsport. We know O'Reilly's won multiple championships on the console side of things. But it's going to take a miracle for Kieran tonight to win this one over Phipps. Getting closer, though, as Davis still coming under pressure from Callum Clark, who's got Joseph Bates and James Wright just behind them. In that LMGT3 fight, though, Schaefer's at the moment 1.2 clear of Erkin Koglu. Erkin Koglu's got 1.7 back to Bradley Duncan. Matt Townsend is 2.9 off the back of Bradley Duncan. He's actually coming under pressure now from that of John Ford here, Craig, down in towards turn number 1. And that Corvette, the only Corvette and the only Ford is the two that's running away with this championship in LMGT3. So both hats off to them two for picking cars that no one else has, but doesn't look great at the moment in this early stage of the Algarve race.
No, it's a difficult car to drive. Fair play to him for taming the beast. Can he maintain the car through the whole race? I'm not so sure. It can be difficult later on, especially when the tyres start to go and if you're pushing too hard. But looks like Langley is catching up to John Ford here and closing down that gap. Will he be making a move shortly? I don't think so. If it was me, I'd maybe be sticking in behind him, coasting a wee bit, and just learning what he does on the corners to see if an opportunity arises. Well,
this is looking back from John Ford on that of Gray Langley, and we know we obviously chat with Gray, don't we, the Tanner, on a daily basis. We think we know what car he's possibly going to be looking at for the next season of what is to come here on LMU, because there is changes being made. The GT3s will stay. I've got the yellow flag shown for some reason on the broadcast. There is no yellow flag out there. Let me assure you of that one. We think we know what car he's going to go, but we're not 100% certain yet. The GT3s are staying. It's the LMP2 class that's possibly changing for next season. Gray might be wanting to see that car move out of his way in this race, because I think he... sorry, not move out his way. He might be wanting the driver to hop out that car, because that might be the one he wants to hop in.
Yeah, especially after he did a special event this weekend and he pretty much fell in love with the car. But yeah, I think if he does switch over to the Mercedes, he just has to find consistency in it without following somebody. It seems to be that's what is his big issue, especially if he wants to challenge for championships. Is he? As soon as he's not following somebody or doesn't have anybody in front of him, it seems like his pace just drops off a cliff for some reason. He needs to somehow figure out how to fix it in the short off season or the off season we're going to have for LMU. But he needs to figure out either something about himself or something about the car that can help him take that next step and possibly challenge for a championship next season.
Indeed, and if you're wondering what this next season's going to be, well, let me tell you, it is not going to be waiting till the next ACC season starts, because we know that's still got 3 weeks to go when this ends. it will be the usual 6-week break period with a couple of off-season events in between, and we'll be back live. So we'll be back 3 weeks before the ACC console season returns. So LMU will be back with, I can confirm, due to the Christmas period and the way that the third season would have worked out, it will be with an extended season of 10 races, not 7. But that does mean that we do have a bit of an extended break due to the Christmas and New Year period before Season 3 gets underway in that new year. But already Ben Rook moving past Paulo Vieira. The LMP2 fight still raging on. James White has got past Joseph Bates. Joseph Bates coming under pressure now from Joachim Cambrai. And Dan Davis is coming under immense pressure from Callum Clark still. And look at what's happening now. Craig, we're starting to get onto that traffic of the LMGT3. So this is now the second task for these LMP2 drivers. You've navigated the start. You've got through that opening phase. 11 minutes into the race, we're on the back of the traffic.
Yeah, this is definitely the most difficult part of a multi-class. Navigating the traffic, not being too aggressive with the overtakes, because you're not just going to cost yourself time, but you're also going to cost potentially ruin your race. But they seem to navigate in the first couple cars nice and smooth. It's whether everyone else can do it as well. And as that traffic really starts to build up and you're having to pass more than one car, there's potential there for big accidents and big slowdowns, and other cars that take an opportunity to get an overtake.
Indeed, and as we know this season, and probably what will continue going forward in other seasons, the Pelican penalty, as we'd like to call it, as we'll get back to it in a moment. Callum Wright hustling the back of Dan and down in towards the hairpin. Callum Wright looking up the inside. Callum Clark, sorry, looking up the inside, gets the move done on Dan Davis. Dan drops off the podium. Callum moves himself up into P3 with a fantastic manoeuvre on Dan, using the traffic to his advantage here to just sell Dan the dummy and move up yet another place. Onto the podium he goes. But that Pelican penalty that we speak about, Tanner, Pelican, because if you remember back to Daytona 24 Hours, where one of the drivers called the hypercar class driver a Pelican for an incident under the blue flags, we've named it out for that reason. Double penalties in the race, triple penalties on lap 1 if the two classes make contact with another. So doesn't just fall foul of LMP2s, it goes for GT3s as well. So they've really got to be cautious of being predictable.
Davis and Callum Clark, sorry, are just really buying doors here as they're going through the traffic. Don't think Dan Davis was too happy about the overtake and tried to take it back, but Callum Clark has snatched it right back off him.
He has indeed, and comes under pressure from Dan Davis once again, who takes that better line through the final corner, because Callum Clark didn't know which way to go on Ryan Fox. Dan Davis now in the slipstream as they power past that of Gareth Anderson. Down the start-finish straight they go. Here comes Dan Davis, going to look to that outside line. Clark's already covered off the inside. Squeezes Dan Davis just about. Leaves a Charles Leclerc width at the edge of the circuit there, Tanner. And Dan Davis managing to hang on to this spot. But the penalties, Tanner, will be absolutely incredible. We've seen very little penalties this season, especially between the two different classes of cars.
Well, yeah, especially with the scare factor of 2x penalties, as Dan Davis now look on the outside of Clark, but looks like this fight may be over for a little bit while they go through this next section. But James Wright is probably the sole benefactor of these two fighting so much, because he's caught about a second with these two fighting.
Yeah, he really has. Joachim Cambrai, by the way, has got ahead of Fury, aka Joseph Bates, in this race. As that is P19, or car number 19, I believe, in the LMGT3 fight. That is one of the Lexuses that they've just put a lap on. Because there is the Porsche of Daniel and Paulo Vieira just in front, as Ben Rook actually going back down to Ben Rook on Matt McMillan, looking to try and make a move. Ben Rook gets up the inside of McMillan. Ben Rook makes another move as the leaders come through. So Ben Rook up yet another place. He's up into 8th place overall. Gray Langley is on the back of John Ford. They've got to stay a bit wider now, because there's the championship leader. And oh my days, John Ford nearly chopped the nose off of that of Andrew Phipps. Langley gave Phipps the space. Ford may not have seen him coming until the very last moment, and almost there for the LMP2 championship leader. It could have been curtains.
Oh, definitely code brown there for Phipps. Oh, definitely probably a little shaken, but it doesn't seem like it's affected his rhythm at all. But just a little bit fucking heart and throat moment there for the championship leader.
Indeed it was, as now Langley coming under pressure from Clark and Davis once again. And this is the hard thing, isn't it, Craig, in this race? Dan and Callum here fighting really, really hard, trying to not only negotiate the circuit and the traffic, but they're really wanting to not lose touch to each other in this battle, are they?
No, and John Ford did
No.
a good thing there, went wide and cut back inside. Oh, sorry.
It's all right, sorry. No, it is. It's going to be hard to navigate, but at the same time, staying in touch. And
Whoa, contact!
touch!
Dan Davis, Callum Clark, contact between the two. They're both off the circuit. Callum yet to get going. Looks like Dan Davis may be able to try and rejoin, and he does. He's very slow, though. Might be waiting for that of Callum Clark to come back through, and indeed he has. So Dan Davis there making contact with the rear of the spike-liveried LMP2 of Callum Clark. And all my days, and that's the problem right there. That is what can happen. Negotiated traffic and fighting hard.
Well, we did call it. We said that could happen in this race whenever you're navigating the traffic. I mean, will Dan catch back up? Is he carrying a bit of damage? I'm not too sure. But it looks like Callum has taken that opportunity of getting back on track and just shot off to build as much space between the two of them as he can.
He's got 4 seconds to get onto the back of Joseph Bates, aka Fury, so Callum Clark's got some work to do. Fury got back out of Joachim Cambreo, didn't get past Dan or Callum Clark there. That is Fury, who's just put a lap on John Ford. Greg Langley getting close to the rear of him. Erkin Koglu creeping forward a little bit onto the rear of Schaefer's now. Bradley Duncan doesn't have anything in response to these two. Neither does Matt Townsend in response to Bradley Duncan. But John Ford has dropped well off the back. Ben Rook, looking to be the lead Porsche driver in this race at the moment. He's on the rear of that of Forher. Coming down the back stretch, there you go. As Dan Davis now then comes back through to put a lap on the pair of them. He's got a few seconds to gain on the back of Callum Clark once again. And Forher might be pushed a little bit wide by Dan Davis there, who was on the inside at the apex. That's given Ben Rook an almighty chance here, Tanner, to get alongside that of Forher. But he can't get the move done, couldn't get the overlap on his fellow Porsche driver.
Yeah, and while those two were fighting, Langley finally got got past to John Ford, so he's now unleashed. Probably saw Benjamin Brook on his on his relative and decided, he needed to get the move done as soon as possible, so he didn't have to worry about Ben getting to the back of him and trying to create as much of a gap as possible to him.
Indeed,
because those two, if I remember correctly, were 1-2 in the practice session.
They was indeed. Wainwright's on the back of Anderson here. Lexus versus BMW, with Ryan Fox's BMW just behind. Wainwright looking to tuck up and under that of Gareth Anderson, coming through turn 12 now. Can't get the move done at the moment, but he is there and close enough. What's happening between that of Paulo Vieira and Matt McMillan? McMillan leading the way for the Momentum Motorsport drivers tonight here, Craig, at the moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to see. He's put the time in and it's paying off. Clearly he's been drinking his cups of Cuppa's Choice coffee, because the other boys haven't. They're definitely slacking behind.
They are indeed. What is happening, though, back in that LMP2 fight out front? O'Reilly's dropped to within over a second behind. Dan's got the gap down to Callum Clark. No real close fights under a second happening in LMP2. But the lead in LMGT3 at the moment is really spicing up a little bit. Erkin Koglu on the back of Schaefer's. Lamborghini versus Lexus in this race. Erkin Koglu has been at SimPlay Motorsport as well on the console side of things before we move to PC. And Schaefer's, brand new to the championship this year, has been an absolute fantastic addition. Just hasn't had the results he possibly would have wanted, as Callum Clark there nearly ran out of road by that of Schaefer's and comes through now to lap him going into that corner of the double right-hander of Portimao itself. Erkin Koglu getting really close to the back as Dan Davis, his MOSA stable teammate, coming round the outside of Erkin Koglu and that of Schaefer's. Brakes on the curb, locks up. Dan Davis goes straight on. Schaefer's maybe didn't leave him the space he was warranted on that outside line, and Erkin Koglu putting even more pressure now on the Lamborghini for the leading LMGT3, Tanner.
Well, of course you had to say there weren't that many penalties at the start of this race, because I'm pretty sure probably not contact penalties, but definitely penalties of people not leaving enough room, as Dan Davis makes sure he did not like the move that Schaefer's put on him.
Schaefer's nearly ran him out of room again there. It's a few Charles Leclerc cars width being left at the edge of the circuit here today, Tanner.
Well, if it's Charles Leclerc's width, it's no penalty.
It's no penalty. Yeah, it's all that off. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. Erkin Koglu putting even more pressure on the back. Can Greg Langley, now he's been released from John Ford, he's pulled a massive gap over Ford already. Can he get that gap down to that of Matt Townsend, dropping down? Because Langley would love to end on a podium. Nearly didn't race tonight, by the way. We're struggling with some graphics issues on his laptop. Managed to get that sorted to be out on the track as well. As here comes Anderson and Wainwright, obviously from that Momentum Motorsport stable. Even though Anderson's gone with a Rust Easily, I believe his kids, Craig, have picked the livery for him in this one because they like Lightning McQueen, if I believe to be right, as Anderson's just gone. Oh, nearly taps the rear of Wainwright there coming up through turn 4.
I know these boys will be having a right wee laugh with each other with the racing that they're having tonight. As for the livery, he says it was his kids, but I know for a fact he's a massive fan himself. I think he does these streams that week of Chow, so you know, kids, yes, but it's definitely a 70-30 split more towards old Gareth on the Kachow livery.
Oh, you've just dropped him right in it there, haven't you? You dropped him right in it. Well, he's coming under pressure now behind from that of the stream's favourite, Mr. Worldwide, as they keep calling him, that Orion Fox. Just behind him, BMW versus BMW. Lovely looking livery on that Ryan Fox car, bar the Mansfield Town Football Club badge on that one. And we get to see... Oh, Tanner, I've just thought I get to say my line this week. I'm not going to say it yet. It's premature. You remember the line I said? If something happens, I get to say a certain line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At the end of the race. Don't you worry. Might not go down well in the chat, but I'll enjoy it. I will certainly enjoy that.
Yeah, Ben Rook making inroads on John Ford and Gray Langley. He's
got ahead of for her. Yeah.
Again, we're saying his name wrong, by the way.
For her. Yes.
Well, yeah, isn't it with a W instead of a U?
For.
Is it
damn it! And I'm meant to do this as a job. For Hauer.
Full Howard. There we go.
I told you.
Yeah, Full Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I said looks like McMillan looking to make a move down the hairpin of turn 5. Doesn't commit as much. Full Howard leaves it on the outside, gets on the power so much earlier, and is able to keep the position easily. It's just it seems like Bull Howard's not able to keep the car on the track consistently, and that's probably what's costing him the majority of his time loss.
Look at the battle behind as well. Paulo Vieira, you've got Daniel and Love all trying to attack one another. BMW, Porsche and Lexus. Porsche's a good car out there so far tonight. It's Matt Wright saying James Wainwright is really struggling out there. He looks it. And he's not just sandbagging like yourself, Mathew, right? John Wainwright, Matt. Look what you've made me do. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like Matt's just said, he's going to need one hell of a strategy to get in front of Langley, and indeed he is, because the fight between them, I think, is 2 points in the championship going forward to that of third place in this championship season at the moment. O'Reilly's back within 0.6 of Phipps. Callum Clark has got ahead of Joseph Bates, aka Fury. So Callum Clark's back up to 4th. 10 seconds behind James Wright. Dan Davis obviously lost all that time with locking up next to that of Schaefer's, who has still got Erky Koglu glued to the back of the Lamborghini at the moment, Craig. This battle at the front of LMGT3 is absolutely fantastic so far.
It's fantastic to watch, but at the same time, the strategy here, I see that Langley and our leader always making a move there on the outside. He's going to get it done. I don't think so on a switchback. Nope. But as I was saying, the strategy here, it seems like Schaefer's is on full push, whereas Erkin Koglu not so much. Same with Langley, as he's flying through the track. Still full push if we look at the virtual energy, and there's a 2% difference. Will it make much of a difference when it comes to the pits? I'm not so sure, but it does seem that these boys are holding back just a little compared to these two.
Well, it is almost a pit stop. I think it's Tanner will be able to tell us by pressing the virtual energy a bit. Tanner, what is it sort of per lap usage wise here? I believe it's normally 3 to 4, isn't it? Because if it's about 3, Langley and Schaefer's are going to lose that advantage on that virtual energy strategy. But it depends on what testing they've done. Do they know they're comfortable to get to a 1 stop? Remember, if they get to that 50-minute mark, that is halfway through this race, and that's where they will know that they have got to or can get to the end of this race. Further down the order at the moment, we've got Ben Rook now on the rear of John Ford. So John Ford just falling backwards a little bit here, and Ben Rook looking to try and put some pressure on that of John Ford. Gets on the grass, has a bit of a moment there, does Benjamin Rook. And loses a little bit of momentum down towards the final corner. There you go. What else is happening out there at the moment? Daniel still on the back of Vieira with Peter Love with them. Ryan Fox on the back of Gareth Anson. Stapley on the back of Nauris Plovins. They've got Ossie and Horn Edwards with them as well. Sorry, Tanner.
Zlachnik, first driver with the drive-through, all the way down to P20. So he looks like I was right in saying that drive-throughs are going to be not an issue, but definitely something to watch out for today.
Oh, something's happened to Callum Clark. Sorry, Tanner. He's dropped back behind Joseph Bates and has got Dan Davis back on the rear wing of the LMP2 driver. So Dan Davis and Callum Clark can resume their fight. They're just starting, they're going to be creeping onto the back of gaining on the rear of some traffic here as our leaders, separated by 7/10 in LMP2, are on the rear of Wainwright as well for putting laps on.
What did
and Erkin Koglu has taken the lead over Schaefer's. So not sure when that happened when we've looked away, but yeah, he's got the lead of this race.
Yeah, and to answer your question you asked me before, average fuel energy burn per lap, in Koglu, I'm going to say his name wrong like 15 times before I even get close. He's at 3.4, Schaefer's 3.5, Bradley Duncan 3.4, Townsend 3.4. Langley 3.5, 3.4 for 4, Ben Rook at 3.5. So at 3.3, or Fox is only one in 3.3 right now, including Stapley, but everybody else 3.4, 3.5.
So at the moment, Langley's got, Schaefer's has got a 3% difference to that of Matt Townsend. So that could be the difference of a lap for Townsend to go that extra lap over the likes of Schaefer's, depending on where they are on circuit. Also in this race. So Phipps is coming through some of the traffic now, down in towards the final turn they go. So should be able to lap this good group of cars, all putting each other under pressure here as Sada Forhauer is coming under more pressure now from Paulo Vieira in the BMW, and Daniel and Peter Love all in that. And Phipps got ahead of Vieira, didn't get ahead of Forhauer or McMillan, as he does now on the Porsche driver, but Kieran O'Reilly now back behind him with 0.6 of a second. Dan Davis within half a second of Callum Clark, as Dan Davis going to go the other side of Stapley to what Callum Clark did, just away the car was on corner exit. Dan now in that slipstream. They're going to both try and look to get to the inside of Nauris Plavins down in towards turn number 1. Plavins on the outside of Dan, just breaks a little bit earlier to allow Dan to have the corner, and he's dropped the rear. Plavins has dropped the rear, letting Dan Davis through, and he's lost out to Stapley and Ossian in this race. Zlachnik, I believe, has DNF'd from the races. That he has indeed. So Zlachnik will be a no-point scorer in this final round of the season. And Nauris Plavins there just ran out of talent a little bit as he let the LMP2 leaders come through.
Yeah, as Zlachnik retired in the pit lane serving his drive-through, so he spun out a few times. So I'm pretty sure that was just out of frustration or maybe damage. I didn't see any damage on his car, but it could just be on my side. His car was completely clean. Ben Rook is probably the most frustrated driver on the track right now because he cannot get past John Ford. He's losing about a second a lap to Langley, who he was catching quite consistently. Yeah. He's lost about 5 seconds to him just because he's stuck behind John Ford. He cannot get past him.
And in terms of Matt Townsend and Greg Langley, Langley gained 0.8 of a second last lap. Bradley Duncan, by the way, last lap of a 45.3. Schaefer's did, as it's just ticked over onto his, whether he's up or down on his last time, did a 40. Didn't actually do a time, so must have taken a bit of track limits there. So Bradley Duncan's just got that gap down to 2.2 while Schaefer's trying to keep the pressure on Erkin Koglu. What's happening between Callum Clark and Dan Davis? Half a second's worth of a gap separating the two of them. They're both 2 seconds off the back of Joseph Bates. That could bring that fight come back into play, but Ben Rook here diving up the inside of John Ford, gets the car stopped. Does John Ford get the better exit here, Craig? Because the Mercedes-Benz man looks like he's got the switchback done. He's on that inside line, and Ben Rook manages to power through round the outside and has that inside line. So Ben Rook here, Craig, is making his way through the field at the moment.
Absolutely flying through the field. John Ford seems to be under a little bit of pressure now from him, even though he's tagging along behind. But we do have James Wright coming up behind, and if he times this completely wrong, then who knows what could happen with Ben Rook. He could slow down dramatically, and John could get right back through.
Zlatnik in the chat, lost forward feedback, couldn't restart the wheelbase. When I did, the game crashed, is what he said in the YouTube chat. So, not good to see. I know Brad struggled with a moment like that. Brad won't be wanting that to happen today. Remember, if you are new to the channel, hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see here. Subscribe if you are new, as well as hitting the bell to be notified. Go down to the description below and check out our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester, who are producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more. And that of Big Apple Logistics, who move... I don't know the Big Apple Logistics one off by heart, so I'm going to have to load that up a second. Big Apple Logistics specialise in moving plant and heavy machinery worldwide. Go and check them out in the description below. Rambo Riviera says, I send you a little kiss in that place where the sun never lights. Okay, thank you very much for that one. I don't know if that's for me or for Zlatnik or who it possibly could be for. But a good race we've got on our hands here. Ben has now got ahead. He's got 9.7 seconds to the back of Langley, who is starting to creep onto the rear of that of Townsend. Erkin Koglu's just opened up that gap to a second now back to Schaefer's, who's still got 2 seconds back to Bradley Duncan. Vieira now looking to get past Daniel. In fact, no, Daniel's got ahead of Vieira as Peter Love there, nearly into the back of the BMW. Looks to get the momentum out the corner, and Love's Lexus trying to find a way through. In fact, does get through, so Peter Love moves up yet another place. Gareth Anderson has been overtaken by Ryan Fox, but down in towards the hairpin. Anderson tries to come back really tight to the apex of the corner as Gareth there gets the power out the corner and manages to move past Ryan Fox, coming up in towards turn 6, into 7 and 8 now, and Anderson does have the move done. Lovely little move from Gareth Anderson. Not too much of a send, but just put the car exactly where we needed it to be.
Absolutely fantastic switchback and a good old Kachow move. He seems to be pulling a bit of a gap away from him now. Hopefully he can really break away and not feel so much pressure, but it does look like Ryan Fox is going to keep on his back and give him a little bit of a scare as he's closing that gap down.
It does indeed. And I've just noticed on the timing screens, by the way, that that of Callum Clark must have ran in to another moment, because he's dropped some 9 seconds behind Dan Davis, and Dan's 1.2 off the back of Joseph Bates in this race. So Dan looking very close, as like you say, here comes out of Ryan Fox once more, just putting the pressure back on Callum Anderson in this race. Glad you enjoyed it, Zlatnik. Hopefully we'll see you back for next season. It'd be great to have you back out on the circuit next season once again. But Ryan Fox trying to put the pressure on Gareth Anderson, who just took a little trip onto the grass momentarily there, as down the start finish straight they go. Closest fight in the LMGT3s at the moment. Fox has a look, but it's only a look for the time being. Gareth Anderson manages to stay ahead at this moment in time. Right then, Tanner, where are we in this race? 1 hour, 7 minutes left on the clock. And a lot of these LMGT3s have still got in that 30% worth of virtual energy. Yellow flag for position 14. And that is Phil. It's not Phil Hornsby. There was a car very, very slow. The yellow flag is now gone, so I'm not sure who it was. But we have had a yellow flag, and I'm not noticing a change of positions out there. May have been Callum Clark, who's now 10 seconds behind Joachim Cambrai now, I think about it. So Callum Clark, has he maybe gone through them tyres already, Tanner?
Yeah, especially around here where it's a very left side tyre limited track where you're absolutely abusing the left-sided tyres through turn 1, 2, and 3 in the last corner. Definitely the big points where the tyres will be abused the most. So we might see people take left side tires around here. I think the LMP2 cars are going to take all 4 tires. GT3s, I think it's going to be either or, depending on if they want to save the 5 to 10 seconds. I believe that the difference between taking 2 tires or none. But it's all be about when do these guys, if these guys want to have that cold tire period for a lap or two at the beginning of their stint and be vulnerable to people either undercutting or cutting them on warmer tires.
Yeah, 100%. And this is about for the LMGT3s at the moment and for the LMP2s. Obviously, you can't see what fuel they're on. We get the idea of what virtual energy the LMGT3s are on. it's about getting to that 50-minute mark, isn't it, here, Craig? Because the minute you get to that 50-minute mark, you know you've done half the race. And if you're pitting after that, you know you're going to get to the very end with whatever you put in the car, provided obviously it meets the requirement of what's needed. 100% at 50 minutes will get you to the end. Every lap extra you do will just be a little bit less you need to put in that car, which will just give you that little less pit stop time.
Yeah, it's all about getting that edge when you go into the pits and making that decision of whether, if I take tyres, yes, I'm going to lose time in the pits, but am I going to gain that back by having those fresh tyres? Is whether these boys have practiced on a full stint of tyres, or have they decided that, you know what, the overall gain is worth that loss in the pits. It'll be interesting to see who does take them, who doesn't. Me personally, I'd just be stretching them out as long as I could and just hoping that I can defend with all my might near the end of the race against someone who could potentially have fresh tyres.
And that's the interesting thing, isn't it, Langley? Tanner, is, of course, you're Langley then. Is if a driver doesn't take tyres, yes, they're going to save time in the pits, but what are they going to manage to achieve in this race? Because, like I said, very left side heavy in terms of the tyre wear around this circuit. Surely the drivers are at least going to take a minimum of 2 tyres.
That's what we thought with I forget what track it was. I think I wasn't Fuji, but another track where we thought people would need to take tyres. I think it was Spa.
Yeah.
We thought people would definitely take tires around there just because of how long and or how much the tires get abused around there, just because most of it's just medium to high speed corners. But Bradley Duncan and a bunch of other people managed.
Sorry, there the LMP2 running down in last. The new driver of Clomstra went onto the grass, kept it fully pinned, trying to put the lap on Gareth Anderson. It nearly went into the side of him, out of control. Thankfully managed to hold it all together and keep it going. But Gareth Anderson, who's under incredible pressure at the moment from Ryan Fox, did not need that little heart-in-mouth moment.
Very NASCAR-esque of the new driver. Just through the gas, just keep it pinned and hope it sticks. But... yeah, no, but...
And then we've lost Clomstra from the race, so he's had a retirement from this race. So, yeah.
Oh, I just went back. Clark and Langley had it coming together through the penultimate corner. I was just flipping through what was happening, and as Clark was trying to lap Langley, they have it coming together.
Clocks lost out massively there then. So what damage does he have on his car? That could also have hurt his tyres even more. That's also cost Langley a bit of time. He's dropped 3.5 seconds now behind that of Matt Townsend. Langley's keeping that at 2% to Matt Townsend at the moment, whereas Schaefer's is that full 3% lighter or less on his virtual energy than the 3 drivers around him, Duncan, Townsend and Erkin-Koglu. And as we've said, that 3% could get you the extra lap out of this race, and that could be huge for these drivers when it comes to the pit stops.
Well, yeah, especially when you have John Ford all the way up at 31%. Only other person that's close to him is Ryan Fox and Stakely. So those guys definitely on a little bit of a fuel-saving journey right now, trying to make that either go a lap or 2 extra and have better tires at the end of the race, or just have a shorter pit stop coming up to the 50-minute mark.
Indeed it could. And we are approaching that pit stop section of this race. Let's bring up the HUD for you on screen. So on board with Langley, he's got 7.3 worth laps left. Erkin-Koglu 7.9. Schaefer's 7.4. So even though he's got a couple of laps left, how accurate that is, I'm not sure. So 7 laps left here. This could literally be a 1-lap race for these drivers, couldn't it? Because that should, Craig, take you down towards that 50-minute mark.
Yeah, and I would talk to some of the drivers early before, and I asked them how much fuel saving you have to be. And they said only about half a lap. They have to fuel save half a lap for the entire race, which, in terms of how long the season's been going, has been probably the smallest margin they've had to fuel save. They didn't have to fuel save at Fuji just because of how chaotic, with the rain being literally in the middle of the race and them able to pit not even close to 0%. But here they only have to save about half a lap of fuel to make it to the end. So people saving that another lap or 2 of fuel is probably just trying to make that pit stop that even shorter and just gain maybe a free 3 to 4 seconds in the pit lane.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting, Craig, isn't it? Like we've said, the strategy that we've seen here in LMU this season. We saw Langley back at Le Mans try and just do the one stop. It sadly didn't work for him. We've seen all sorts of drivers do all sorts of strategies, and that's really been the key. Schaefer's all out of shape. That's going to have hurt the tyres and brought Bradley Duncan back onto the rear of him. But Craig, the strategy we've seen this season has been absolutely fantastic for what the drivers are just trying to do different all the way through this race.
Yeah, I think it's important that they get the experiments in. You know, it might not work every time, but if you pull it off, boy, do you pull it off and do you gain them positions. I mean, I remember that race at the start of the season where Langley's was really, really fuel saving, and if he'd have pulled that off, it would have been absolutely fantastic. Sadly, it didn't work out for him then, but considering that they can potentially get away with one stop here, it could be vital that they start to really fuel save. I mean, if Schaefer's doesn't manage the one stop, then he's going to lose out massively to everybody else that isn't. He does seem on the virtual energy side of things to be really, really pushing. And then when you scroll further down, the same with Phil Hornsby. He should know better. We've told him about fuel saving.
Put that down to a team management mistake for Phil Hornsby, I reckon.
He's probably having too much fun out there racing with his boys.
Oh, what has happened? Sorry, Craig. James Wright has had a moment at the top of turn 11. I don't know if Gareth Anderson was involved or avoided it, but Gareth Anderson was stationary, and that's allowed Ryan Fox to go through. So Ryan Fox moves up into 15th now ahead of Anderson. Not noticing any damage on the front of Anderson's car, so maybe he just had to slow down, come to a stop to avoid hitting James Wright, who may have lost it on his own, but Wright's going to try and come back through to put the lap on them now. Dan Davis has got ahead of Joseph Bates. Joseph Bates just losing out to Dan Davis a little bit more. Now, Kieran O'Reilly, by the way, is 10 seconds behind Andrew Phipps. Phipps has pulled away an absolute treat in this race so far, but yeah, Anderson there, not what he would have needed in this race at all.
Yeah, look back at the replay. Yeah, James Wright going through Portimao completely locks up the rear and spins, and pretty much does a wanted to check the grill of Gareth Anderson to make sure it was all clean and stuff while he was sliding by. So, so he just a little. He just wanted to do a little check in there, and that lost himself and Anderson some time.
Craig must be on the text messages to the team at the moment because McMillan and Daniel are battling each other out on circuit, and McMillan moves across, lets Daniel through. Peter Love in the Lexus trying to get through, and Momentum boys, he's probably texting there saying don't hit each other. Whatever you do, do not do it on stream, because the Momentum lads was getting a little close there, Craig, in that race. They was having a few looks with each other, and they've got to be careful of that Lexus behind them.
Yeah, they really need to be careful with each other, but you know, our boys, at the end of the day, there'll be no heated words or anything. They'll be having a bit of a laugh out there, just enjoying it. But at the same time, strategy-wise, if I was in the call with them, I'd be telling them to knock it on the head and stop letting the other cars catch up. Fight another day and get a decent result. I do have to hand it to Phipps. He's absolutely flying, and he's navigating this traffic splendidly compared to the other LMP2s. They should maybe take some lessons from him on what he's doing, because that gap is absolutely staggering. It is absolutely staggering. And yeah, Phipps has been in dominant form. Erky Coglu's gap's coming down as well at the lead there. Brad today, Tanner, you know, one of our boys. We've got a root for the SimPlay boys, haven't we? Out there, he just hasn't had the outright pace. Now the question would be, Tanner, is he pushing as hard as he normally would, knowing he's got a championship to fight for?
I can answer that question. I don't think he is. He's taken a safe setup. He knows the bare minimum what he has to do today, and he's content with just finishing P3 and just winning that way. He's not looking for the grandioso or the perfect race season finish and winning it all and winning the race and winning the championship at the same time. But he's content with staying P3, not pushing the car too much, bringing it home in about 55 minutes and taking the championship in P3.
Well, let's see what happens as this race will unfold. McMillan and Daniel still going at it with Peter Love just in the background. John Wainwright is on the back of Paulo Vieira here. This is for 12th and 13th. Wainwright just hasn't had the pace tonight, Craig, to try and try and take the fight to Langers for that P3 in the championship.
I know it's such a shame. He's considered Lang as a bit of a rival through this, and unfortunately on this track he's just not loving the Lexus at all. I think his mistake was trying out a couple of different cars at the weekend and not putting in the time. But it looks like Langers has definitely put in the time and is showing him how it's done in the Lexus. So if you watch this back, mate, put in the time. Come on,
Yeah.
You know you're better than this.
He is better than this. We know he's better than this at the moment. We've got Norris Plavins gaining on the back of Royd and Stapley. The battle of the McLarens, which is sad to see. You go from ACC, where it's been McLaren dominance, Tanner, for quite a while, and we come to LMU, and the McLarens are in last and second but last.
Well, especially if you've been with LMU for a while, the McLaren has probably been the most... have the highest peaks, but also the lowest drops in terms of how much performance that car has. At a certain point, it used to be the car to drive just because how strong it was in a straight line speed, and then for some reason they decided just to completely neuter the car to the ground, and now it's in this weird state where it's kind of good at some places, but it's not. It's not good enough to be a top picks for anybody, as it looks like Plavin and Stapley now side by side going down to turn 5.
I believe is Stapley a momentum guy as well?
Stapley is one of our drivers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. We're populating quite a bit.
Well, I'm just thinking here. So
coming left and right.
We've got Langley fighting Wainwright in the championship. SimPlay versus MMS. Plavins is SimPlay versus Stapley MMS. They're having a little fight out on the circuit. A little bit of a rivalry on the circuit between the two teams, or two stables out there on the track at the moment.
Yeah, it's good to see. Rivalry always pushes people to be faster. I am rooting for my boys here, even though you seem to be pulling away in front. But no, it's definitely good to see the little rivalries coming on track, and I know that the boys do enjoy racing against us week in and week out.
It's been a great season, hasn't it, Tanner, to see what can happen. We might have to come up with a sort of, not a teams championship, but a teams in sort of stables. We've got Momentum Motorsport out there. We've got we've got MSA. We've got SimPlay out there. We might have to come up with a little something out there on the track. I believe we've got Bearded Racing, I believe, is some of the guys out there as well, the likes of Townsend and Phipps and people like that. So great to see. Langley's lost seconds to Townsend, so Langley's not in that fight with Townsend anymore. What's happening between McMillan and Daniel? They are 9th and 10th, within half a second, managing that gap nicely. Peter Love, there or thereabouts on the back of McMillan, just can't seem to get close enough at the moment. We know Stapley and Plavins was close. We've just seen that. And, Kieran O'Reilly, my friend, have you made a pit stop?
I will check.
Because he's all of a sudden a lap down on Phipps. Yes, he has. There we go. So on your screen now, you can see, I believe I've just put up the overlay of what drivers have or have not pitted. So you should be able to see that on your screen now. In fact, yes, there it is. So Kieran O'Reilly is the only driver to have pitted in the LMP2s at the moment. That is a little early. If he doesn't get any fuel saving done in this race, that's going to mean that he's got to splash and dash at the very end here.
Yeah, and he pitted about 3 laps ago, so I think he's definitely on the case of he's going to be splashing and dashing near the end. In terms of just. In terms of he needs to, literally need to come into the pits and fuel in for a little bit.
Yeah.
Schaefer's at 1.9 going across the pit entry line, so he's definitely on the knife's edge in terms of strategies. So he might come in this lap, which is, I think, the earliest he can make it. He does have to fuel save a little bit, but the pit window for the GT3s to make it to the end is now well and truly open.
You've got it's about 50 seconds with a bit of fuel saving on that final stint. So if he does pit now, he might have that little bit of fuel saving to do. The one I'm interested in, though, Langley as well, 1.4 So he also has just a little bit to save. As are we going to see Schaefer's coming to the pits? Yes, we are. So Erkin Koglu will get an extra lap. Might even get 2 if he fuel saves a little bit out of that. Townsend will only get the 1 unless he can also fuel save a little bit. Bradley Duncan was the next one. Brad will get, according to this, 2 laps. So Brad could go the longest here. Langley will get exactly 1 more lap in. So Langley, as he come past the pit entry, was 1.1 left in the tank. That is absolutely bang on for Gray Langley to get the lap and possibly just get that overcut on Schaefer's here, because he's only going to have to fuel for potentially 49 minutes or so, Craig. So this is that strategy again, just playing out between these drivers.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to impact Duncan. The gap between him and not even Duncan, whoever it was, P2, I've gone completely blank, but he did seem to be pulling a bit of a gap at the end there, so he was really low on the fuel, so was probably having a fuel save just to get into the pits, whereas Erkin Koglu is flying away and building that gap up and has that extra lap advantage as well. And as you scroll down and you look at all the other boys who've managed that extra lap, really going to take advantage of that when they do their next stint.
Indeed, he is. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on everything. We're being asked by Matt Wright in the chat, Daniel, out there in the LMGT3, can you pronounce his surname for us, as he is a momentum driver?
Oh, you know what? I can pull up a voice recording, I'm sure. I got him to play it. Chibotu or something. I'm butchering it, but I did get him to tell me what it was. I did try numerous times to get it right, but he does just like to go by Daniel, even though we like.
Yeah, Daniel it is. Daniel it is. Then we're not even going to try that one. We're not even going to attempt it. Daniel it is, Matt. So don't ask silly questions in the chat again, basically. Dan Davis in the pits, Joseph Bates in the pits, Cambrai Clark all into the pits. Kieran O'Reilly comes back up into 3rd place. Wright is also, I believe, pitted in this race. So Dan Davis here looking to have got that overcut over a couple of these. We saw a lot of LMGT3 cars into the pit lane as well there, Tanner, didn't we, on the previous lap? A lot of them into the pits. We had Hornsby in, Ossian in, McMillan was in, Daniel was into the pits, Schaefer's came into the pits, as we know. We've now got the likes of Rook, Langley, for her, Love, Townsend into the pits, Wainwright, Vieira, they're all coming in. And look who's got an extra lap again. Bradley Duncan and Erkin Koglu. And I think, Tanner, master strategist of the season, John Ford, still got 5% left. So he could maybe get an even extra lap out of this.
Yeah, he had +2 on everybody starting last laps, or 2 laps compared to everybody else. So he could possibly go another lap. Ryan Fox is in the same boat too. He can go another lap if he wants to. Can he? No, so he has to box this lap. But John Ford can definitely go another lap on on this stint if he wants to. Is Brad close?
Oh, no, very close. Schaefer's nearly got jumped by Townsend in the pit. Craig can't pronounce his own surname. Never mind Daniel, says Cairns in the chat. Stothard, isn't it? I hope I've said that right. I hope his name's Craig, because for some reason I've got in my I've got in my head that your name's Chris for some reason, and I keep calling you Craig.
You know what? I'll take it. Like James and John, we'll take it. It looks like they just managed to get into the pits here. Ben Duncan was 0 there, I think, just after he crossed the line, so no penalty for him. Not Ben, Bradley. Now I'm getting the names wrong. Yep. It's contagious.
It is contagious. That's the thing when we're all in the commentary box. It's Chris, isn't it? I've been saying it wrong all night, haven't I? He's gone quiet. We'll never know.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. How rude of you.
I was in the chat there, and people are asking for good coffee because they're bored of tea.
Good coffee. Good coffee, bored of tea. Right. Chris Harris, if you're not listening, I'll tell you off later on in the Fox Tacker commentary box. We're MCR, I believe that's Carlos. Stuart, Florida, Roasted Records. That's where you can get your fresh coffee. Caitlin, Roasted Records, sponsorship on it. Good girl. We've gone off track here.
No, we have.
We've gone well
Ryan
off topic.
Fox in the box. Gareth Anderson. Ooh, Gareth Anderson could be getting a penalty for
yes. 0 on the fuel for Lightning McQueen. Less Kachow and more Kachiga for the number 95, Gareth Anderson there. Then has he left it too long? It is Craig. Right, so I've been saying it right then. Thank you, Righty. For some reason, I've got in my head all night, I'm calling him Craig, and I'm sure it's Chris. And I did it throughout the whole thing. What are we hurting at?
Bradley Duncan has jumped up to P2, effectively P1 into. He jumped him and Schaefer's.
Wow, yeah. Jumped Schaefer's by 20 seconds. Holy.
So I'm thinking he didn't take tires, and Koglu took two.
Or maybe he only took 2 tires, and Koglu took a set. Langley also got jumped by Ben Rook. Langley's 3 seconds behind Ben Rook now. So, wow, Bradley Duncan, from out of the depths of nowhere, almost seems like he's pulled off a potential race win here.
Well, let's not say that. Well, let's not say that yet. We still got 44 minutes left to go, and in my guess, Bradley Duncan did not take tires. He just took fuel that stop. Koglu took 2, and Schaefer's took 4. So I feel like with 20 minutes left, we're gonna see either the ill effects of tire wear on that Mustang as John Ford finally comes in the pits 6 minutes later than everybody else.
Let's wait and see what will be the case. Looking for Anderson, by the way. Wow, he must have nailed it. No penalty, even though it said he had no fuel virtual energy in the tank. So Anderson must have absolutely nailed that one, because he's got away without a penalty there.
0.1, he says in the chat. That's as close as you can get.
Yeah, that is cutting it as fine can be. Caitlin's on it. Mont 58 is my coffee of choice. All right, where'd you get it from? Waitrose, you. Oh, Matt, right. It's just too snobby, that one, isn't it? Mont 58. Oh, my days. Hot chocolate for me at this time of night, says Alistair Cummins. Come on, Fox, says Styles. Caitlin, let me know any other sponsors you want me. I'm creating a list. I'll get back to you on that one, Caitlin. We will get that one started and hopefully the ball rolling on it. But back to this race. The LMP2s have just done what they've done every race since their pit stops. They're spread out. There's not a lot happening in LMP2. In LMP3, Bradley Duncan is leading this race from Erkin Koglu. 4.8 seconds is the gap. Then it's a further 14 seconds back to Schaefer's. Townsend is 3 seconds off the back of him. Ben Rook 8 behind him. Langley gaining on Ben Rook. John Ford dropped to 7th. So came out about where he was. John was ahead of Ben Rook, was he not? So I think Ben may have jumped Langley and John. No, he wasn't.
No, he was ahead of John Ford.
Ben was ahead of John Ford. So John's come out exactly where he was. Daniel has come out 3 seconds clear of McMillan, who's under pressure from Peter Love and for Hauer, in the Porsche. Wainwright's down in 12th place, only a couple of seconds off the back of them. Ryan Fox is 5 seconds clear of Paulo Vieira. So Ryan Fox has jumped ahead of Vieira and Hornsby and Anderson and Oshin. Royden Stapley is a lap down, as is Nauris Plavins. Stapley's got back ahead of Nauris Plavins once again. So the big fight here at the moment is Macmillan and Love, with the Porsche actually dropping off the back. Is Macmillan very, very wide? Is this going to give Peter Love the look up the inside? No, it isn't. 42 minutes left to go at the moment. And this is becoming a nice little interesting fight.
Well, yeah,
definitely is. Well, you go ahead, mate.
Oh, I was about to say that the ill effects of Bradley Duncan not taking tires is already shown in the fact as he's already lost about 4/10, and he's losing more now through the hairpin to the Lexus and Lamborghini behind.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, the tire not taking them, bold move, something I would have done, but you can already see the ill effects of it. And we're going to see that further down the grid as well. The guys that didn't take tires are going to be able to hold up the pace against everybody else. It doesn't look like it. It looks like them fresh tires might have been the better choice. And Erkin Koglu is definitely closing that gap quite quickly.
He is quite quickly as well. So Erkin Koglu looking like he's trying to put the pressure on Brad as quick as he can in this race. So we'll see what happens. 2.9 the gap. 40 minutes to go, though. So even though he's trying to do it pretty quick, he's got the time to close in on Brad and make the move. As the great Murray Walker once said, catching's one thing, passing is another. But with 40 minutes on the clock, the gap only being 2.7 seconds. And if Brad hasn't taken any tyres, I don't think Brad's going to fight this one too hard, Tanner, knowing there's a championship on the line.
Well, yeah, and especially with that Murray Walker quote, it can work for any motorsport right now besides one. We're not going to talk about the one because that one is just terrible. But yeah, so if Brad really wants to go for the gold, pretty much the golden way to finish a championship, he could fight it, but I don't think he's going to take that risk of defending hard and having a possible incident that could either end his race or give him any type of penalty. I think for him, he's just trying to get to the end of the race as quickly as possible and as safe as possible.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what's going to play out in this race as it goes on by. In this one, it's been a great start to this race. We normally see that the pit stops just sort of quieten everything out a little bit. There is Bradley Duncan actually being lapped by a few of the LMP2 cars and actually putting a lap there on Arcian himself. So Brad's put a lap on one of the GT3s. That's Joseph Bates who's come to put a lap on him. So, you know, Brad's been able to just put a few cars between himself and his rival of Erkin Koglu in this race. But it's been a great race so far. Nice and quiet. We know there's no rain around to talk about in this one at all. So, you know, it's just dry to the very end. But Craig, it's been a phenomenal race. We've seen some fantastic fights with some little bits of contact here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure to watch. It's been a pleasure to commentate on. It's far from over, so I think we'll see a good bit more action here. Some of the gaps are getting a little bit closer. I mean, Love and McMillan are still battling it out lap after lap. Dan does seem to have pulled away a good bit. And I'm just wondering, you know, at what point does the tyre drop-off really start to impact people here, Tanners?
It's already happening. Half a second slower. Bradley Duncan last lap to the Lexus behind his. Ocean spins in front of it, Kaku. And so Ocean spun around in turn one. Schaefer, he should be gone before Schaefer's gets there, but P2 nearly taken out by a back marker.
Yeah, that would have put the icing on the cake for Erkin Koglu there, I'm sure, in this race. Right, so then, where are we looking? Closest fight out on the circuit, McMillan and Peter Love. For some reason, it's just sticking on Erkin Koglu when I try and change driver. There we go, that's one's worked now. So there is McMillan and Peter Love going at it. Closest fight on the circuit. Langley's closing in on Ben Rucklow at the moment. Gap's under 2 seconds now between the two of them. So Langley just started to creep onto the back of Ben Ruck here, and the young pro champion of last season, you know, he's had his moments on LMU this year, Tanner, but still finding his feet, you feel, looking into maybe next season.
Well, yeah, especially now when he listened to everybody's advice and saying that the Lamborghini wasn't as strong on this game as it is in ACC, and he switched over to a more competitive car in the Porsche, and he's definitely shown his pace that won him that Pros Championship last season. So he's definitely looked a lot more comfortable. It's just the consistency that he's had in ACC hasn't translated over yet, but I think it's only a matter of time before it actually does. Yeah. So he's definitely a one to watch for next season, especially if he's in the same boat as Langley, but besides the inconsistencies in stint 2, he just needs to find about, I think, 2 to 3 tenths on his qualifying and race pace. And I think he will be a dangerous person next season. He's could probably be in the same league as Townsend and Bradley Duncan in that talks next season if he does find that extra little bit of time.
And as we know, we're probably not going to get Bradley Duncan on the grid next season due to work and not being able to get the full time off, which would be a shame to not see Bradley Duncan on the calendar. But his shift changes back over to the back half of the week come the turn of the new year, so it seems like he does that shift every half of a month. So it might be getting Brad back for season 3, but for next season it'll be a shame to see the defending champion not out on the grid, but that is what it is. And I'm sure Brad will be looking to keep an eye on who's doing what going into it. Ben Ruck coming under pressure now, though, at the moment. He's got Gray Langley gaining on him, flying past him. didn't fight that one too hard, Craig, there.
No, he really didn't. I'm wondering if he's struggling on tyres or if there's a wee bit of communication there that, you know, he needs to get in the toe of Langers to get round and get a bit more feel into the track again. I know our boys would, if they were struggling, you know, out in front, just do a little switchback and latch on. Sometimes it's better just to be in the toe of someone just so you can refresh yourself instead of being under pressure.
Nice little move there from Paulo Vieira down into turn 1 on that of Ryan Fox. Moves up into that's P number 14 spot for sorry, P13 spot for Paulo Vieira there. So in the final points position finishes for him. Good little result that one would be for Paulo, obviously missing last week at Fuji. Right. Fighting LMP2, Dan Davis looking to try and get back on the podium here. He's on the back of James Wright now for the final podium spot in this race. 36 seconds off the back of Kieran O'Reilly. 48 seconds off the back of the race leader, as there is McMillan and Love duking it out for position in GT3, coming through Portimao, taking the different lines. The LMP2's sat in a horrible position at the moment, and they split McMillan, almost like Schumacher and Hakkinen at Spa on Riccardo Zonta. Dan and Wright get either side of the Mercedes-Benz, and as that put McMillan under pressure from Peter Love. Thought about it for a moment, did Love. Doesn't look to do anything after. Back to the Davis and Wright battle in the slipstream with each other, coming down towards turn number 1. Out the final corner they exit. Dan within half a second now of striking distance to the LMP2 in front of him of James Wright. So far then, 34 minutes left on the clock in what has been an absolutely fantastic race. Dan can't make the move done there. What about McMillan and Peter Love coming down in towards turn 1? McMillan still ahead. That Lexus, Tanner, cannot find a way through right now.
No, this track, it's definitely, it seems like you should be able to overtake easily, especially with that long front straight, but you kind of need to spring a surprise on the person in front of you if you're about similar pace to get past. It's because I don't know why, but this track just, it somehow always pulls people away, just in terms of just natural pace, or how the braking zone and all the traction zones are just designed and placed here. It's really hard to follow and really hard to get a nice clean overtake, especially down that front straight, which seems it seems like it should open up overtaking for these cars super easily, but it doesn't. So it's a weird feeling, especially if you're a chasing car, on how come you cannot get past the guy in front of you.
Yeah, Ossian's lost out to Royden Stapley, and he's got Nauris Plavins not too far behind him, who's also got Gray Langley, who's 5 seconds off the back of Matt Townsend, trying to hunt him down just behind, putting a lap on Nauris Plavins, who pulls to the inside, lets Langley go. Doesn't have to do that. You've got, you know, it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. But Gray Langley gets through. Right, and Dan Davis, take 2, a little bit closer coming down the start-finish straight. Only 0.3 of a second on the rear of James Wright. Can't, though, get that move done and can't find his way through. On board Dan Davis, on board that of James Wright, who tries to get past. Dan Davis trying to go the other way around that of John Ford, and Ford has now become a nuisance to Dan Davis, who has just held him up through turn number 4, but that is not John Ford holding him up in a bad way. That is John Ford taking his racing line. That's put Dan, what was 0.3 coming into turn 1, 1.5 seconds behind, and that, Craig, is, you know, you win some, you lose some in terms of the traffic.
Yeah, that is a masterclass on decision making there from Mr. Wright. Unfortunately, Dan decided to take the other lane and got stuck. He's now got to work extra hard to pull that gap back again, and it's what a multi-class is all about, isn't it? Split decisions.
Yep.
Last second, am I going to try to move here? Can I take advantage of this? And unfortunately, Dan Davis lost out.
And we get in the fight now in LMGT3. It took 11 minutes for Erkin to get within a second of Bradley Duncan, and I get the feeling this could be similar to the Ben Rook Gray Langley fight, in which is going to be a case of, if Erkin looks to make the move and has that overspeed, Brad's just not even going to fight it and let him go for the championship's sake here, as Bradley Duncan leads once again in LMGT3. It's not the first time we've said that this season. And Tanner, it came from absolutely out of nowhere, because he was nowhere near the front 2 in this race.
Well, I wouldn't say nowhere near, but he was definitely within arm's reach of the front 2, but he just didn't have he didn't have the outright pace to pass him, so he took a gamble, passed him on a different type of pit strategy, and it so far has worked out for him. He's at least if he loses this position, he's gained a position just by not taking tires, which he'll definitely take a P2.
He will
But
indeed.
in looking back, Schaefer's hasn't been making inroads to him as well at all. Townsend hasn't been making inroads, and it looks like Langley and Ben Rook are pretty much at stalemate in terms of catching or losing the person behind him.
Indeed, so we'll keep our eyes on this one at the moment and see what Erkin-Koglu can do. Closest fight on the circuit, because where's Dan Davis? He's got ahead of James Wright by 7 seconds, so not sure what happened there, but Dan has got himself ahead. This one of the closest fights on circuit, the other one 0.6 of a second, so we'll stick with this battle for the time being. As Erkin-Koglu within 0.4 of a second now of that of Bradley Duncan.
He's now 0.3, so
Yeah.
you can almost see the grip he has on that definitely on the left-hand side of that car. Of just every time they take a right hand in the medium or high-speed right-hand corner, you can see the gap close down, and then on all the left-hand corners are about the same. It's just you can see the grip that he has over Bradley Duncan. So actually, let's see if he can get the move done here in turn 5. Does he look on the inside? Yes, he does. He looks out. He doesn't brake late enough and stays behind.
Ooh. Braked a little bit too late because nearly went into the back of Bradley Duncan as he pulled back in, but manages to not make contact. Into the final 30 minutes of this race we go for the final time this season. 29 minutes left on the clock, and this is for the lead in LMGT3. Just going to look back at the other gaps. Phipps leads in LMP2 from Kieran O'Reilly, with Dan Davis in third ahead of Joseph Bates now. He's got himself ahead of James Wright. So does James Wright have some damage somewhere? Joachim Cambrai, then Callum Clark, who is sadly several laps down on the lead cars. Bradley Duncan leads from Erkin-Koglu. Sorry, go on, Craig.
Just to cut in, it looked like, looking back there, that James Wright had a wee bit of an incident with Oshin. It's held him back, and that allowed Fury to get through.
That would explain why Oshin is 19 seconds off the back of Stapley and Plavins, as Stapley tries to get back ahead of Nauris Plavins in this one. Leading GT3, though, it's Bradley Duncan from Erkin-Koglu. With Schaefer's P3. We're going to stick with Erkin-Koglu for now, because this might change coming down the straight. 0.3 of a second in the slipstream of that Ford Mustang. Does the Ford have the legs over the Lexus? Bradley Duncan versus Erkin-Koglu as the Ford Mustang tries to come across to defend from the Lexus. Lexus pulls out right at the last moment. Brad goes back to the racing line. Erkin-Koglu on that inside line. Sparks flying with a bumper. Just drags along the floor. And Bradley just doesn't have the grip there to turn in. Still on that outside line. Is he going to look for the up and under on Erkin-Koglu at turn number 3? No, he doesn't. Now into turn 4. Erkin-Koglu back into the lead of this race after the 27-minute mark. And looks like, Tanner, that he's going to pull away with this one now.
Yeah, now he just has to drive mistake-free, which is harder said than done, but definitely on his mind now. He's done the hard part. He's passed Bradley. He's caught and passed Bradley Duncan. So now he's just mistake-free. He's got to put in the laps. He cannot get overexcited and try to push the car a little just over the edge to where he loses it. He just needs to stay there, mistake-free, turn in the laps, get back into rhythm, and pull away and secure this win for himself.
And Brad's got the gap, hasn't he? He's got 13 seconds back to Schaefer's. You'd fancy, Tanner, that Schaefer's has got to do a lot of work. Bradley Duncan's last lap was a 46.2. Schaefer's a 45.4. So 0.8 of a second. Is that going to be enough with 26 minutes left on the clock?
I think it's just barely if he's consistently catching him at that rate, which I don't know if he will be or not. But if he can consistently catch about 0.8 a lap, he's definitely going to be within striking distance of Bradley Duncan to take P2 away.
Beautiful move said in the chat from, I believe that's Carlos from the MSA team as well, saying Koglu is Mr. Consistent. He has been today for sure. You have to feel sorry for Schaefer's, Tanner. Once again, led the race, put it on pole, did everything right, and again, it's just going to fall short of that race win.
Well, yeah, it's probably going to come down to a bad strategy call in the pit lane of just taking all 4 tires. It may have been just a bad bad pit entry as could also be the fact, because I don't think you lose about 15 seconds by taking all 4 tires. So he's probably definitely going to kick himself just because.
Oh, sorry. Just noting, Callum Clark has retired from this race. So what a shame for Callum. 3 laps down, so obviously must have been having some problems. Who is that off? Well, it's not Grace. That must be Ossian. It was Ossian, so made a mistake and was off the circuit. So he's gone a lap down to McMillan and Peter Love. Just noting on the gaps, these two still pretty close together as well here, Craig, between McMillan and Love. But Langley, 2.7 now off the back of Townsend. Langley just slowly creeping onto the back of that Corvette.
Yeah, he's pulling that gap closer and closer. Much the same at the front there. Like Erkin Koglu's now 1.3 ahead. It's the tyres, I think, for a lot of these decisions here that they're really starting to drop off, and anyone that's taking the fresh ones is starting to creep in on everyone else. If you keep looking down, a couple overtakes from the LMP2s, but I mean, between the close boys, it is the tyres that's really deciding this, and the strategy call has come into play.
Yeah, and that's the gamble that the drivers have taken. It's not the warmest of days here at Algarve. It's only getting up to 23 degrees, so it's not overly warm here today, Tanner, as we've seen in a few events this season. I think it was warmer at Fuji last week in the wet than what it is here at Portimao today. But the track, the way the track is designed, especially that final corner, it is just going to hurt the tyres.
Yeah, it's just be eating away the tires. The last corner, turn 1 and 2, just absolutely eat away at on those left side tires. Corner Portimao is also going to eat away those tires, just because it's a long, consistent turn that you have to use your brakes under. So that's even more more usage of your tire off the brakes and stuff. But it's just that much. It's that much more work those tires have to do, and that much more graining or rubber they're going to have to use. And
for those who's wondering, while there's not a lot happening at the moment, I mentioned a guy called Chris Harris earlier. If you wonder who Chris Harris is, great guy, runs a league on iRacing, an American league called the League by Fox Tecker, in which SimPlay Motorsport are proudly sponsoring a car, and the SimPlay team have a team entered it. Tanner's the driver. I commentate that. I have to stay up till 3 in the morning doing that one. But a great league, great group of guys, great racing as well on fixed setup races. They did Portimao the other week. They're the guys who are actually sponsored by Roasted Record. I believe Chris is actually going to be sorting me out some Roasted Records coffee to be sent over. So if you are awake between midnight UK time and 3 in the morning UK time, and you are in our Discord, I'll be sure to post the link in the Discord. Come and check out the League by Fox Tecker. Fantastic group of guys, fantastic commentary. Tristan Herbst, shame he's not out there on track today, because we'd have loved to see him out on the circuit as well. As Bruno Cortez in the chat's fireworks play, he says in that one. Callum Clark, Dan Davis took me out at the start. My tyres were at 150 degrees, so I had to retire before I took someone out. Callum, if it's if you're unhappy with anything, please raise a ticket. I know it's the last race of the season, but please raise a ticket to let the stewards investigate that one. Right, Mr. Gray, Langley's within 1.1 seconds of Matt Townsend now. Did Gray take all 4 tyres over Matt Townsend? Because he seems to have, in that first stint, Gray didn't seem to have that upper hand over Townsend, whereas now Tanner, he's definitely got the advantage.
I would like to think he only took 2 tires. He only took left side tires and kept the right, just because his pace, he didn't have that 2-lap stint or start where his pace was abysmal just because of cold tires. So I think he only took left hand side tires, which I'll probably ask him after the race to see if he did take all 4 or just left side tires. But he's definitely in the second stint. He's finally figured out how to put a second stint together, and hopefully he's able to finish it with get the pass done, get P4, and finish the race.
And the race has just fizzled out a little bit here, hasn't it? Hopefully Gray and Townsend are going to spark up this final 21 minutes, Craig, because it has just kind of fizzled out a little bit. But that's the beautiful thing of 100-minute races. The race could come back to us at the end with certain drivers, but at the same time, this is the whole thing of 100-minute race lengths, isn't it? Is it will just start to fizzle out, the difference in pace the longer the race goes on.
Yeah, you're really going to start to see decision-making start to really come into effect. I mean, Langers is really chasing down the time here, and it might not be for a couple of laps, but I do think we're going to see a good fight between him and Townsend. The same with McMillan is catching up on Daniel. The two of them are really catching up on each other again. Peter Love's still hanging on. John struggling. I feel for him. It isn't his track. He's not liking the car. But as you scroll further down, not much else is happening. But same thing. You know, anything can happen. All it takes is one mistake, a tire that's slightly too warm, an off track, or even the worst case scenario, a crash, and it's all open again.
Really is, and well, the drivers will be thankful, Tanner, that the update for LMU comes next week and not this week, because them LMP2 drivers may have had to get used to some new braking, whereas Langley now gaining on the rear of Townsend, right under that rear wing of the Corvette as they come up through turn number 4 and down towards the hairpin. There you go. Langley a little too far back to have a look at the moment, stays behind, brakes harder, and gets close. Looks for the up and under on Townsend, who seemed a little slow mid-corner there. They've got Gareth Anderson as a bit of lap traffic they're coming up to. 10 seconds separates Bradley Duncan and Schaefers, so 20 minutes left. I don't think Schaefers is gaining enough time on Bradley Duncan to get close enough to make the move for second place. But either way, Bradley's ahead of Matt Townsend, Tanner, and that's what he needs for this championship.
Well, yeah, it's always been the case that just for this season, Bradley Duncan's always found his way at the front of the field, just either out of some things out of his control, and he just happens to be in P1, or just outright pace. Today, he just pretty much finds himself up in P2 just off of staying out of incidents, having a decent race start, staying in front of Townsend in lap 1, and now he's just turning out laps. He's trying to bring the car home, not give Townsend any opportunity to even think about winning this championship.
Yeah, indeed. He is, as Kieran O'Reilly puts a lap on Langley, who gets squeezed out wide. Anderson's on the inside. O'Reilly threads through the eye of a needle between Langley and Townsend in the Corvette, while Anderson tries to stay well out the way of the two, chasing down P4 and 5. And that there, Craig, is what you was talking about, an incident potentially that could have happened between the LMP2 and the GT3 drivers in what was just a chaotic moment, as Langley's getting really close to the Corvette now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Townsend's actually starting to struggle with his rears. That's a couple times I've watched him go around that corner now, and the back end was just short of skipping out. But then when you add in an LMP2 flying around the corners, threading the needle, I mean, it gets dangerous very, very quickly. And there's potential here that something could happen the next time round.
Indeed there is, and you know, the bonus with this game, if you can count it as a bonus, is damage on this is a lot worse than the ACC consoles that we see. You can lose tyres on this model as well, so the damage model on LMU has really had some work done to it compared to the likes of ACC, so it could have been a catastrophic instance, especially for the prototype, as Langley takes a different line on entry in towards the Portimao corner. Down the hill they drop in towards turn number 12. He's just lost a bit of time to Matt Townsend through that middle sector, but we know Langley seems to be, or we think Langley seems to be on the fresher tyres than the Corvette. As he comes into the final sector now, Greg Langley just looking every way he possibly can to try and get the move done on Matt Townsend in this race, in what has been a fantastic end to the season here at Portimao. And don't you worry, folks, because we may have Season 2 calendar coming your way tomorrow night on the broadcast, as Greg Langley gets the run on Townsend, nearly looked to the outside, chopped straight across that inside line. The overspeed that Greg Langley has got now coming down towards turn 1 may even have the move done before the braking zone. Side drafting is the Corvette on the Lexus, and has Matt Townsend got the confidence on the brakes? Yes, he has. Stays in front of Langley, just about holds on to it, and Gray has to do it all again. Has a look at turn 3, nearly making contact between the two, but they managed to keep pointing in the right direction. And Tanner, now it starts to heart up a little bit.
Yeah, and this is bringing Benjamin Rook into the fight. I think that's what Townsend's hoping for, is a third car to join the fight and possibly make it a little bit more interesting, as Townsend maybe getting a little bit naughty there with moving under the braking, but it looks like Langley had difficulty getting the power down in that Lexus and is still behind.
He's still behind. He had a bit of a wiggle on the exit off the corner there. And Gray Langley has all that hard work to do again. Schaefers has got the gap down to 9.2 seconds to Bradley Duncan in this race. Bradley Duncan's tyres just clearly falling off of a cliff at the moment because the gap's nearly under 8 seconds now. So as Bradley Duncan's tyres just fell off, if Langley can pass pass Townsend here, could Langley maybe chase after Duncan? 15 seconds, big ask, but we'll wait and see as Gray Langley still getting as close as he has been to Townsend all race. This is riding on board with that of Gray Langley, and this is what he's having to see at the back of the Corvette at the moment. That Corvette, beautiful looking car. Might go well next week when the American pack comes out, as through the penultimate corner, there you go. And the Corvette just for now stays in front, but this is where last time round, Craig, Langley got that advantage.
Yeah, I mean, he got the better drive off the corner. It was side by side. I mean, fair plays to Townsend to break that late and still pull it off and still defend. That's them going. But if it was me in Townsend's position now, I'd really want to be slowing down Langley to try and give him a bit of competition. But looks like Langley is pulling the move again. Same corner. Have they got it? And Townsend is completely off and Langley gets the move done.
Yeah, he does indeed. It just looked like Townsend ran out of grip. You saw the little wiggle, so Langley moves up to 4th place now and has got that job done. And sorry, moves up to 4th place now and gets that job done. And yeah, Langley there, good little move. Left it till the very end of the straight for Gray Langley to get ahead of Matt Townsend. Now can Ben Rook get onto the back of Matt Townsend? We'll wait and see. McMillan gaining on the back of Daniel down the straight. He's pulled 1.4 seconds clear of Peter Love, so he's managed to pull away from Love in this race at the moment. And what has been, as Styles says in the chat, a great end to this season. It's been a great race. Come on, Langley, says Caitlin. You got this, baby. I know I've got this, Caitlin. Me and Tanner smash it every week. You know we do. You're getting lovely compliments there, Tanner.
Yeah. I don't know who this baby is. Langley's about a good, 17, I think, babies. All mushed into one. Just about how big that guy is.
Hey, don't you bully Langers. Don't you bully Langers.
Yeah, no, but definitely had to work hard for that P4, especially with how much better tires he had. And he definitely got lucky with Ben Rook. Seemed like he was struggling there a bit behind as well, unable to catch up. So he's definitely counting his pennies tonight, and by just how lucky he was that he did not have any pressure from behind him trying to make that move.
Right then, question for the entire chat with 13 minutes to go. Not a lot happening, as we've just said, once again out there at the moment. We'll keep on board with Daniel for the time being, who's coming under pressure from, if it will let us. There we go. Craig, I don't know how much you've seen of this season, but if you had to give a driver of the season in both LMP2 and GT3, who would you give it to?
That's a very, very good question. I mean, the obvious choice would be Phipps. He's been absolutely dominating some of these races. Haven't watched too much of the LMP2s. I'm mainly here for the GT3s whenever I tune in. So for LMP2, I'm going to give it to the clear winner tonight, who's absolutely dominating the field. I kind of wish that Rozolski had turned up and gave a bit of a challenge, because I know he's got the pace to compete at the top. As for the GT3s, driver of the season, as much as I hate to say it, I think I am going to go with Langley. He's pulled off a lot of strategy, a lot of good overtakes. There's a couple times strategy hasn't paid off for him, but you know, if it did, we'd be talking about a different result on the championship board at the end. And I didn't want to go with the obvious choice of the clear winner.
I like that. Tanner, same question to you.
I have to give it to the only person that hasn't finished a race off the podium. It's Bradley Duncan. And literally all season he has not finished off the podium, which he might have the pace advantage, but that's still a hard thing to do, especially at some of the tracks where he wasn't the quickest and he still somehow finished on the podium. But for the LMP2s, I probably have to go with Phipps as well, or Phipps, just because especially in a car class that can be extremely unpredictable, in the car having no ABS or traction control, and especially with it being the first competitive season that we've put together on LMU with multi-class racing, it's definitely not a easy task for somebody to pretty much dominate as much as he did. I'm going to have to go Phipps for LMP2 as well. I think he's had a brilliant season. And by the way, people in the chat, if you want to get
thing in for who you think's been driver of the season. You can get it commented in the chat. We'll read them out. I'm going to have to go Phipps, but I'm with Craig on this one. Had Rizalski been here all season, and you know what? I'm going to mention Jamal Clouden. Had he not had the PC issues as well, what could this season have been in LMP2? But I think the obvious choice is going to have to be Phipps. O'Reilly's pushed him hard. Dan at times has showed glimpses of what he can do. We saw what Callum could do in the wet last week. And it's hard to look past Bradley Duncan. But with an honourable mention to Gray Langley and to Matt Townsend. Had Ben been in the Porsche from the beginning of the season, who knows, as Macmillan has a look on Daniel here. Can't get it moved on there. Wainwright as well, an honourable mention, because I think he's been brilliant this season as well, picking up a few podiums. Schaefer's just needs to work on a few things. And if Erkin Coglu would have done the full season as well, who knows what he could have done in this championship as well. So I think that's interesting to see. Callum Clark, Fury has been the best driver. Joseph Pates, I love Joe. Joe's my guy. Joe is my guy in the LMP2s. Love Joe to bits. Great to see Joe back as well. Stiles, what about a season rookie? There is plenty of rookies out there. Bradley Duncan and Phipps being two of them. So I know who he's I know who he's wanting me to say. He's wanting me to look down at Ryan Fox. I mean, I don't know him, but it's got to be Fox up the Stags. You see, big shout out to Ryan Fox. He's fought hard all season, but the fact you said up the Stags is just absolutely wild and crazy in this race. Ben Rook is now actually on the rear of Matt Townsend. So Matt Townsend's pace has just absolutely gone while we've been chatting about drivers of the season. What has happened to the Corvette? Because now all of a sudden Ben Rook looks for a dive down at the hip. He can't quite make the move stick. Does he get the traction out the corner? No. Townsend, for now, holds on to this one. But you just fancy at the moment, Craig, here, that Ben Rook is going to be able to get this move done because Townsend's tyres have gone.
Yeah, they've completely dropped off a cliff. I would have done the exact same choice. I'd be in the same position as Matt Townsend now, but it looks like he's really suffering. It really now comes down to defense.
Oh,
and,
Ikagu's around. Last corner. He's got going again, but he's lost a bunch of time to Bradley Duncan.
Oh, he has? Yeah, he has had a spin just coming into the final corner. So Bradley Duncan, who wasn't really in this race for the win, is now back on the rear of the race leader. And what damage has that done to Erkin Coglu's tyres? As here comes Bradley Duncan in that slipstream. We'll drop back to Townsend and Rook in just a moment. Bradley Duncan with Erkin Coglu on the defensive. Is he going to look to make a move into turn one? Yes, he is. Right up the inside. Bit of contact on the corner exit. Pushing Erkin Coglu wide. Bradley Duncan holding on to the inside line for the lead of this race at the moment. And Bradley Duncan now maybe thinks, stuff it. I fancy the race win. He takes the lead. Right, Ben Rook, what can you do now? He's on the rear of Matt Townsend. Porsche versus Corvette. Not close enough to make a move at this moment in time. I'll tell you, I'm going to give for strategist of the season, John Ford. I don't know, Craig, if you've seen much of John Ford this season, but Tanner will know exactly what I mean. He has fuel saved like an absolute demon out there to get some extra places in races. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, especially I think Monza, it barely worked out. He gained about 3 positions off the strategy, but I think Sebring was probably
yeah,
best. Yeah, P2. You got a P2 off of it. As this Ikagu's incident, now he's just literally trying to bump and run past Bradley Duncan. There is a Lamborghini now appearing in their rearview mirror that is on 4 fresh tires this entire stint. Probably the best tires of the top 3. Not probably, he does have the best tires out of the top 3. He's now catching, and if these two keep fighting the way they are, he's going to be on the back of them here too, with probably about 4 minutes left to race. Yeah,
indeed they would. And this, Chris, is now going to make things a little bit spicy. 3.3 seconds Schaefer is behind off the back of Bradley Duncan as Erkin Coglu comes round the final corner. A little wide there to let Joachim Cambrai come through to put the lap on him. Brad goes defensive very, very early and goes right across to the pit wall. Erkin Coglu follows him, sitting in the slipstream. Now pulls back in the braking zone to take the racing line. And does he look for the up and under on Bradley Duncan? May just have it! Contact, and Erkin Coglu is around on the exit of turn 1. Erkin Coglu has spun. Through go Schaefers, and Gray Langley may now fancy a sniff of the podium as he's going to be right there on fresher tyres with Erkin Coglu spinning twice. Craig, you said it could change with a couple of incidents, and by has it.
Oh, it definitely has. It definitely has. All it takes is one little slip up and everything changes. And we did say that we were going through a little lull and everything could tighten up near the end, and it definitely has. I mean, Erkin now in 3rd place. Didn't see that happening at the start of the race. I had him down as a race winner, and he was leading for a long time, but on his own has dropped it, and then again on that overtake just pushed a little too hard and spun. But Schaefer's now in 2nd place. Fantastic. Langer's now. All it takes is one more mistake and he's on a podium as well. Everything's changed. Everything
has changed. And also, McMillan's lost out to Peter Love by 7 seconds. Love's now on the back of Daniel. For her is on the back, has got Vieira on the back of him. His name has become even more complex now to say. All of a sudden. This is Bradley Duncan, 2 seconds to Schaefer's. Just reading in the chat, Rob Smith, Dan, just because it's great to see him back on track, and Duncan and Townsend joint. Style says, what a move. Chris Rook, I agree. I think Jamal Cloud would have done really well if he didn't have PC issues. Ben is think he could have done better in the Porsche from the beginning. I don't think he's been doing as much practice as he did in ACC, but I think Ford has done well. Wipeout, says Styles at the end. Tanner, that was absolutely crazy scenes.
Yeah, going back in the replay, I put it in the comments as well. It could be a possible penalty for Bradley Duncan. He I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he not pretty much, but he drifted across, almost cutting or having his rear right panel hit the front left of Ikagu, and in that section of the track with the grip being so limited, he pretty much didn't force him to spin, but definitely made it that much easier to spin. And so, depending on if it is put into the stewards, I think it might be a time penalty for Bradley Duncan.
Probably looking at a 10-second time penalty, which Erkin Koglu is 10.4 seconds back at the moment for Bradley Duncan. As there goes Vorhauer, who has had a spin. That allows Paulo Vieira through. Ryan Fox is 18 seconds behind him, so not going to catch up towards the end here in this one. Peter Love still gaining on Daniel at the moment, and 1.3 Schaefer's to Duncan. Joseph Bates is within 7/10 of Dan Davis, so has Dan had a drama here, was running pretty comfortably in 3rd, and has now got Joseph Bates gaining like mad on the back of him. We haven't spoke to Joe this season. He hasn't been on the podium. We'd love to see him. Phipps is now around, is he?
Yes, he was. He was around the 3rd to last corner. The tough uphill hairpin, left-handed hairpin. So he's around. He still has a 35-second gap to O'Reilly, so he's definitely in a comfortable spot, but definitely not helping his heart rate out in terms of that spin.
Indeed it isn't, and Joseph Bates now putting even more pressure on the rear of Dan Davis as he looks to the outside into the Portimao double right-hander. Joseph Bates looking to tuck underneath. These two have gone toe-to-toe, wheel-to-wheel for many a seasons in the past, whether it's Project Cars or Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now they're doing it once again on Le Mans Ultimate. Yet to see Fury's moment in the chat. We know Fury's granddad is there, one of the longest viewers in the chat, along with Peaceful Stepdad as well. Pretty much been here the whole 5 years, and Joseph Bates now looking to mount some pressure onto the rear of Dan Davis as they put a lap on one of the Lexuses. Believe that is Ossian who holds that inside line nicely. Joseph Bates in that slipstream. Could we speak to him on the podium at the end of the night? It'd be absolutely brilliant to speak to Joe once again, but he's got to get Dan Davis done in this race as Dan locks up big time as he tries to put a lap on John Ford. Here comes Joseph Bates, who gets blocked by Anderson, not intentionally. Dan now goes deep, and through goes Fury up into 3rd place. It is all kicking off in the last 5 minutes.
And I can possibly say it's all tires are causing these fights at the end of the race. It's definitely a lot later than I thought it was. I thought about like the 15 and 10 minute mark where these people that took new tires would be that much quicker, but late in this race, it's definitely starting to kick off with people struggling on old sets of tires.
Poor old Craig's going to need to get a hearing check at the end of this race, I reckon. His ears are going to be ringing. He's not used to this kind of shouting. He normally watches it on the YouTube. PN in the chat, great to see you here. He says, come on, Fury. Beautiful scenes, says Styles as well. Ben Rook still on the rear of that of Townsend. Dan Davis, so still trying to come back on Joseph Bates. Schaefer's within 7/10 of Bradley Duncan with where is Phipps in this race. 1 minute 33 is his best lap time. He's coming down towards towards turn 5. So this is the penultimate lap of the race, because remember, the race is finished when Phipps finishes this race. When he crosses the line with 0 seconds left on the clock. So all of a sudden, we wait to see what Phipps can do. What's happened?
Schaefer's into the back of Bradley Duncan, completely missed his braking point into turn 5 and pretty much...
Oh, Ben Duncan and Townsend now's just made contact. They both keep going, though. Craig, this has absolutely flipped on its head here.
It's completely kicked off. I was thinking that Schaefer's would maybe get in there and put a fight right to the end, but that little tap has meant that Duncan has got away a bit better. Everybody else is closing in. I mean, Ben Rook and Matt Townsend here are properly fighting. We know for a fact that Townsend's tyres have pretty much dropped off a cliff. And can Ben make a move? He is right on his bumper. Not close enough yet to be doing anything, but I mean, this is the fight to be watching right now, I think.
And this is side by side between Dan Davis and Joseph Bates. Dan was off the circuit, overtook Joe, would have had to give that place back as he did. Joe's mum in the chat, Laura, come on Fury. PN, I'm so glad I'm not in the box. My hearing has never been the same since, says PN. Nice one, Fury, keep it going, says Fury's granddad. Yellow flag out there on the circuit.
Hornsby.
Not sure why. Hornsby is the one who's caused the yellow flag. There he is in the gravel trap. So Craig will be having to have words after that one. But Joseph Bates now really looking to try and put the pressure back on Dan Davis just in front of him. You can see the Townsend and Ben Rook fight as Joseph Bates is trying to hang on in there. Where is Phipps on the circuit? Halfway through the lap, on the final lap of the season, not just the race. Schaefer's looking to go for a move. Ben Rook looking to the outside of Townsend, tries to get the run. Joseph Bates puts the lap on Ben Rook. Dan Davis puts the lap now on Ben Rook and Townsend. And Rook really looking to try and make a move down in towards turn number 1. It's all coming down to this for the last lap of the race. Has Erkin Koglu got enough energy in the tank? He's got 2%. Langley could be in for that podium, but where is that of Phipps, who's coming towards the end of the race? One of you two pick a different battle each, because I'm going to have to watch the race winner.
Spin. Ben Rook gets the position, but it does look like he spun Townsend round. There's probably a penalty or a report coming in for that one, I would dare say.
So Ben Rook has spun Townsend around, but back to the leader, Andrew Phipps. We crown our first LMU champion. We crown our first LMP2 champion. Andrew Phipps is going to come to the line. He's going to win once again, and he wins the championship for the first time here on LMU. Kieran O'Reilly is going to be in second place. But Duncan, side by side with Schaefer's. 2 corners to go. Hangs onto it for now. Schaefer's looking to put him under all sorts of pressure. Erkin Koglu's got 1% left. Bradley goes defensive into the final corner. Bradley will win this championship regardless of where he finishes, but he wants to win. Schaefer's looks to the outside. Does he have the momentum? No, he does not. Can Bradley Duncan hold on to this? It's going to be neck and neck between the Ford and the Lamborghini, and Bradley Duncan holds on in there for the race win from Schaefer's. Oh my days. Kieran O'Reilly finishes in second. Does Joseph Bates hang on in there for third? Yes, he does. What a podium for Joseph Bates. And Erkin Koglu manages to get that P3. Tanner, I need to lie down.
Oh, Townsend and Ben Rook going side by side down the finish. Pretty much the drag race door banging the entire way, and looks like Townsend might take P5 back as well. As 0.0 between those two crossing the line, just as close as Bradley Duncan.
Oh my days!
Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema indeed. What a race! What a championship! Absolutely fantastic from everybody out there today. It really has been. That has been superb. Absolutely superb. Cambrai has finished down in 6th place in class. Wright was 5th. Dan Davis was 4th, as we know. And in LMGT3, Bradley Duncan took the win. Townsend was 5th. Wainwright, where did Wainwright finish? All the way down in P11 in category. Langley was 4th place. Schaefer's come across for 2nd. No Jimenez. For Howard was down in 13th place. Vieira was P12. I'm doing this in order of the championship, if you're wondering why I'm doing it in such a funny order. John Ford was P7. Ben Rook got 6th place in the end. Daniel come across the line, P9. Ryan Fox was down in 14th. McMillan was P10 in this one. Gareth Anderson was 15th. Ossian Horner Edwards was P19. Peter Love, P8. Royden Stapley was 18th place. Hornsby was 17th. No Tristan Herbst, no Schrodel. Nauris Plavins was in 16th. Erkin Koglu finished on the podium in 3rd. No Newman, no Bergsma, no Andrews. Oh my days. What an absolutely fantastic race that was. And we'll get switched over to the commentary box cameras in just a moment's time. But holy moly, was that an interesting race. That was absolute cinema at the very end. Absolute cinema at the very end of this race. It was all happening out there. Absolutely crazy scenes.
Looking at the live timing, the difference between Bradley Duncan and Schaefer's is 0.00. It doesn't even show us how much he got beat by. Same thing between Matt Townsend and Benjamin Rook.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Let's go Fury. Just reading in this one. Do LMP2 have bumpers, says PN. Callum Clark, let's go Fury. 14th, but that was awesome, says Ryan Fox. John Ford, I believe that is. Great race that. Enjoyed this season. Wish I could have been around for more. Well, John, hopefully you're there for a bit more of season 2 coming your way. Ruth Townsend, Duncan and Townsend, great racing. It has been all season. We're going to wait. We're going to let a few more of the lads come into the commentary box. Craig, final thoughts on today. But first of all, by the way, what great job in the comms box all night. Fantastic job from yourself. But final thoughts on that one.
I mean, what an ending. What an ending. There was fights happening all over the track. We had drag races up the start-finish line for some amazing fights. I mean, Ben Rook almost had it. I mean, yeah, it's almost speechless after watching that. The cinema was the only way I can describe it across the grid.
Tanner, same question to you.
Oh yeah, it's just, well, definitely had that weird little lull with about 50 to 40 minutes left, but just as I don't know if I said it out loud or not, but definitely the race picked up right when the tire difference became that much more noticeable, that much more impactful in these guys, how they're driving the car and how they're trying to manage the pace and manage their energy and everything. But the last 10 to 5 minutes definitely warranted this track to be season finale.
It did indeed. Right, we're joined by a few of the drivers in the commentary box. We'll start with P3 man in LMP2 and P3 in the LMP2 Championship. Remember, all championship results are provisional until they are posted on the Discord and our social media platforms. So stick around for that, because that's when the championship results will be classed as final. But Joseph Bates, I thought you was going to get a podium at the track you took your first race win last week. First of all, great to have you back out on the SimPlay circuit. Great to have you back in the comms box. And great to see you back on the podium. How was that one?
Honestly, Matt, it's good to be back after taking that long break and coming back. I didn't know how well I was going to do, didn't know how well I was going to get on with the wheel, and to come back and, get P3 in the championship. Yeah, just honestly amazing to be back and be able to still somewhat put a fight to people.
Left it till late in the race today. You had to fight your old adversary, didn't you, really, there, Dan Davis? Of course, it was him you had to come up against to get your first podium of the season.
Yeah, me and Dan, we've always had our little scuffles. We've always had those few moments between us. But, I mean, when it comes to Dan, he's good, hard racer. He's always got, pace to him. So when I seen him struggling, I was like, I got to keep it clean. Just keep pumping in the consistent lap times, and then I managed to get in his slipstream, and he had a few lockups. Yeah, and his tyre wear must have been worse than mine, and managed to just slip up his inside in the end.
In terms of the season, is this the highlight for you, this P3, or is there anything else this season that's been the real highlight? Last week was an outstanding race in the wet from you at Fuji.
I think last week in the wet, even though I pretty much came dead last in LMP2, it'd still be a highlight for me because, me, I like a twitchy loose car, and being able to bring that into Le Mans finally, I felt right at home.
That would have been brilliant, by the way. I think I said it on the stream last week. If you'd have got a podium at the place you took your first one, on controller, in a Nissan, on Project Cars 2, I thought it was written in the stars. It wasn't to be. But Joe, congratulations tonight, P3 and P3 in the championship.
Thank you very much, and congrats to Phipps on the LMP2 championship.
Indeed. We'll move over to... We'll speak to the man who wasn't on the podium tonight, but he's P3 in the LMGT3 championship. Mr. Gray Langley. Tough fight between you and Wainwright all season. Wainwright just didn't have it tonight. You managed to have his number, Langley, and managed to set up P3 in the championship. As he's...
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy the consistency finally paid off. But no, I just want to say a big thank you to all the viewers on this SimPlay Motorsport channel right now, and I want to shout out all the drivers on the grid up and down. It has been a fantastic first season. It's been a pleasure working beside you, Matt, as well, to get this LMU up and going in SimPlay. I want to congratulate Bradley and Phipps on their respective drivers' titles this season. I mean, Brad, absolutely, the consistency you had out front, as well as you, Phipps, it just absolutely domination from both of you this season. So hats off to you, and thank you for everyone tuning in. We couldn't have expected such a great first season, and here's to more.
Here is to more. P3 in that championship, though, you had to do it the hard way at the end. You and Townsend was really going at it.
It was the first time I think I got the strategy right this season, I'll be honest. I did take 4 tires, and I think this track, the tire wear was so high that it was worth it. I passed Ben. Yeah, I mean, Ben kind of let me through, but he didn't make it too hard anyway. Townsend did make it a bit hard, but that was a really fun fight. Finally got brave on the brakes into T1, made a little mistake, he went wide, and that was done. But it was good to fight him. I hadn't fought him much this season in terms of battles on track, and yeah, it's just been a pleasure to drive this season and to just be in this league right now as we move to LMU. So it's been great this season.
Indeed it has. Langley, congratulations on 3rd place in the championship. I'll let you go. And we'll move over to Vince Schaefer's 2nd place. So very close to that race win at the end there.
Yeah. What can I say? It was a very tough race. But, I mean, to see a win to Duncan again, I mean, the consistency, it's insane. His pace also insane. Strategy, I mean, nothing wrong there. So
Yeah.
it's all my fault. All mistakes, that's all.
It was a good race from you tonight. We've seen a lot of good pace from you throughout this season, just not been able to put it together. Tonight looked like you'd put it together a little bit more and nearly come away with that race win.
Nearly, indeed. Yeah, I was a bit optimistic in the last send. I maybe should have stayed behind him and I waited till the last turn because I saw that I had more grip. I changed all 4 tires, so in the last turn I could have pushed more than Duncan. So I should have stayed closer to his back over there.
It's been a good season. Some ups, some downs throughout this whole championship this year, but you come away P5. You can be happy with that one.
I mean, honestly, not that happy because I made a lot of mistakes. Also in the past 3 races, Sebring was a favorite of mine and Fuji as well. I mean, you saw in the first stint on Fuji that had pace, but mistake in the rain and then I lost it. So.
Indeed. Well, P2 tonight for yourself, buddy. Congratulations. Enjoy it, and we'll let you get back to it. And we'll move across to P2, man. Kieran, you threw everything you could at that one this season. Obviously, learning a new car, not as much time to prep as you'd normally have back in the day. But you gave it your absolute all. P2 on the night, P2 in the championship.
Yeah, try my best. Is my mic working just to...
It is, yeah, we can hear you.
Just to check. Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, I tried my best this season. I definitely felt a bit more comfortable in that race within the car, but obviously it was just too late in the championship, so I tried to give Phipps a good fight. and was doing so really. And then the mistake came. I was overtaking a GT3. I just missed the brake board, and I was lucky to not actually take a GT3 out. So my bad to any GT3s that come close to. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Could have had a good battle tonight, but look, P2, we'll take it. First season on LMU, and we'll just keep learning from here now.
Indeed, that's it. And, you know, LMP2's tricky cars to jump straight in and get used to straight away. But you've proven, you know, again, great consistency throughout the championship. And really, I think Rizalski at Monza, the only driver really to take the fight to Phipps at times.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, as being a real racer and what, you know, you always want to put it on top and whatnot. And I've made too many mistakes this season, really, for my own liking. So it's a bit bittersweet, but like I say, to have that battle with the final race there, I knew I just had to send it, and the car felt mint round that track, to be fair. Can't fault it whatsoever. So it's a shame these mistakes happen, but like I say, it's just a learning curve this first season. I remember on ACC was sort of the same. Took me a few seasons to get up to speed, so it's you know, there's still positives to take from it.
Indeed. Highlight of the season, any race in particular or moment in particular that you think was fantastic?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've really had a season for highlights, if I'm honest. I would probably say tonight, just showing that the pace is there. Just need to get that consistency up more. I'd say that's probably the highlight. You know, it's the closest I've been to Phipps, and you know, you've got to be really on it to keep on to him. So yeah, I think tonight was probably the main highlight. And a shout out to Phipps as well on the W.
Yeah.
Well deserved. You know, just domination all along. So fair play.
Indeed. Well, Kieran, congratulations this season and on tonight, and well done. And we'll hopefully see you back next season.
Cheers, mate.
And we'll move over now to your GT3 champion. We'll go over to Bradley Duncan. Bradley, you put 2 holiday days in to make sure you could be here for the final 2 races of the season and the championship, and that hard work has paid off. Not only did you get a result that I don't think you possibly expected tonight in that race win, but you've come away with the championship as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of just flabbergasted about the last 10 minutes of that race, because in the position I was in, I didn't think, I thought I was just going to solidify P2 or even P3 there. But yeah, I wanted to mix it up with the strategy. I kind of figured tires was the call to take, but my pace didn't seem too bad as long as I kept the car in a straight line. So I wanted to risk it just to try to make the race a bit interesting. So I did not take tires in a pit stop. And yeah, at first it backfires. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to settle for P2 here. And he, I don't know what his name is. I'm just going to refer to him as the Lexus. Sorry in advance, but yeah, I saw he had the spin, and I was like, oh, what? And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to just do what I can here, and yeah, unfortunately, we have an incident. I'm gonna own up and take responsibility for it. I could have definitely given him more room at turn 1 on the inside there. I was just trying to make it a little bit difficult for him, but I think I just made it a bit too hard on him. So that's my fault there. I mean, we'll see if it gets sent to the stewards or not. And then, yeah, with that battle, and brought Schaefer's right up to the back of us. Yeah. And seeing that Lambo with the Red Bull livery in my rearview mirrors was the scariest thing I've seen all season. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that was an incredibly tight finish across the line as well. I think I've just saw Vince put the picture in Discord. That was incredibly tight.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was not expecting to win today. I thought I was going to carry away with the, P2, if not P3 at the very least, because Vince's pace was absolutely insane today. I didn't really have much of a response to it, and so was the Lexus's absolutely crazy pace. It's a shame I'm not going to be here next season, because I would love the battle in, but hopefully come season 3, later on down the road next year, probably I'll be back and to defend the season 1 title. So yeah, that was absolutely fun, a lot of fun tonight.
Any highlights from this season that you can take away and think that was sort of your best or proudest moment?
I don't know. There was just a lot of them to just point out. I mean, you had Le Mans. I mean, there was a race that kind of went in my favor at the end, grabbing the win, because I know Townsend had his tech issues. Bahrain was an absolute fun one, in my opinion. Me and him just battling, strategically and on track the whole race. That was probably my favorite battle of the season, in my opinion. not very much happened that I can remember from Monza besides me pushing him off the chicane there. Spa, I think Spa was a very good one. The track I thought I didn't really have good pace, and I just made the strategy, and I just got out of there with the win. I didn't get a chance to race Sebring. Fiji was insane with the rain. I made a lot of mistakes that race, but I was able to scatter away with that one. And then obviously the elephant in the room tonight, especially those last 10 minutes of the race, the drag race to the line. That was, the adrenaline rush I got from that was insane. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, I don't think my season could have been much better than that.
Well, Brad, congratulations, race winner once again, and we can say provisionally you are the LMGT3 Season 1 champion. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys. Matt, thank you for the commentary. Tanner, thank you for the no, Tanner's not in here. Never mind. What is your name? Stafford?
Stafford, yeah.
Thank you for commentary. Congrats to Vince on the P2 there. And obviously the Ever Lexus on the podium sitters in LMP2, and then our champion over here, Mr. Phipps. I mean, your season was insane as well, dude. So congratulations. You definitely deserve it.
Yeah, and we'll move over to Andrew Phipps as well, your provisional LMP2 champion. Andrew, Kieran kept you honest for majority of that race, but then you managed to get that gap.
Yeah, it was really the first 20 laps or so were quite good fun. I was trying to save. I knew we had to save some fuel in that race, so my plan was to save as much as possible in the first stint, and then go full push, for the second stint.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kieran was right with me a few seconds back the whole time, and then I saw in my mirror I saw him. He had a bit of a, I don't know if it was coming to go with the GT3 or just went off, but that was kind of the end of it really, which is a bit of a shame. I wasn't expecting an easy race like that. When I saw the quali times, there was only a tenth or two between all of us.
Yeah.
And I thought this is going to be a really tight race, but I think everyone just unfortunately had incidents and got caught up. So that was that.
Yeah, it seemed to be the case because, like you say, qualifying was incredibly close. Any one of you could have taken it. You could have thrown a blanket over you. It was all that close. But you have taken that race. You have taken that championship. It's been a really good season from yourself. Is there any highlights from this season that you take away and think that was a good moment?
Do you know what? My favourite race was Bahrain. I shouldn't have won that race.
Yeah.
Kieran should have won that race.
Yep.
He had the pace, but it was such a close fight. I think there was 4 of us that were all within a tenth each lap.
Yeah.
And we were together the whole race. I really enjoyed it. It was such a tight battle. It was good fun. I think Kieran's doing himself a disservice. I think that was his highlight. I think Bahrain was he was very quick there, genuine pace.
Yeah, he wasn't he? I think you're right in that. I think he's done himself a bit of disservice. But you are the provisional LMP2 champion. We'd love to see you back next season. Hopefully you do return for that one. Congratulations tonight. Congratulations, LMP2 provisional champion, Andrew Phipps. One thing as well, congratulations to the young man of Andrew Phipps. I'll get that one in there for the last time this season as well. Can't wait to see Zlatnik's little cartoon comics that he gets posted most weeks, because I'm sure they're going to be brilliant.
Yeah, and just say I think I've had a bit more time in LMU than a lot of the guys, and I know that they've all got more pace in them for sure. You can see they've got real pace now. It's just getting used to the LMP2, and they'll be flying.
Indeed it is. Thank you, Andrew. Once again, provisional champion for the time being. We'll hopefully get that one confirmed within the next 24 hours. But you are the LMP2 champion for Season 1.
Thank you.
And seeing as Tanner has left us, Craig, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box this season. Tonight. Sorry, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
It's been a pleasure, Duffin. Thank you for having me.
And to Tanner Kneebone, if you are listening, and hopefully you do, because I'm not repeating this when we get in. I've left the wrong chat. I've left the wrong chat. I left the wrong chat for a moment there. I jumped in the wrong chat. I'm not repeating this to Tanner when we get in the other chat. But Tanner, thank you for joining me all season. Been an absolute pleasure to have you alongside me for the entire season, and hopefully we can get you back in the box once again. Thank you all to everybody who has been watching in the chat. Please do hit that like button, the bell to be notified when we go live, because we're not done for the week. ACC console coming up, Pro-Am and Pro coming your way. Back to the 90-minute races, this time at the Nürburgring this week for that one. That season still has 4 more weeks to go this week and 3 more after that before that season ends. For LMU, there'll be some fun events, some special events coming your way, one-off nights here and there throughout the next 6 weeks. But we'll be back with a new calendar, a longer calendar, and potentially a different car class on the grid for next season. So from me and all the commentators and all the team here at SimPlay Motorsport, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.